Live from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you in to NCAA Division II baseball coverage on the ECC network. In today's conference matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins take on the Molloy University Lions. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, joined on the call by my broadcast partner, Nicholas Bavona. And Nick, the Dolphins opened this series with a thrilling win back on Thursday. 8-7 in walk-off fashion, a game-ending walk forced home the winning run. However, the Lions bounced back on their home turf yesterday, taking a pair from the Dolphins, holding CSI to just one run across two games.
Yeah, and the Dolphins went into that second game, Joe, being shut out throughout the first 6 innings of that one. They didn't get their first run until that 7th inning. So the offense that we saw on Thursday, unfortunately, was not there for the Dolphins yesterday, taking on this Lions team. But the Dolphins with a chance today to even their conference record at 2-2 if they get the victory over Molloy. Won't be an easy task, as we know, going into this game and going throughout the history of these two teams' matchups. But if Thursday maybe was an indication of the resilience of what this Dolphins team could be, then maybe we could be in for another good one here today.
Well, the Dolphins' bats really came to life now 4 games ago against the Delphi with that 21-run outburst. They then continued that momentum into the game on Thursday against the Lions. Obviously, yesterday is not the kind of offensive effort the team was looking for, but despite the struggles at the plate yesterday for the team as a whole, Jaden Waterman continues to be red hot. Had a 3-hit game, a 2-hit game, and now a 1-hit game in this series. Jack Kehoe has also hit safely in all 3 games, so we spoke about earlier in the season how we thought we might see Kehoe moved up in the lineup the way he was swinging the bat. That has come to fruition now. He's the leadoff hitter. Waterman swinging a hot bat. The Dolphins really need more of that here today after a poor offensive showing in yesterday's doubleheader.
And I think also, Joe, what we saw on Thursday, too, from the team is the Dolphins started off with a 4-0 lead in that game, and a lot of good things went the way for the Dolphins. They had some, a couple bloop singles, a big RBI triple from A.J. Vigliotti. But I think throughout the entirety of the game, and you can even mention it going into the later innings of that game, especially that 7th inning, 2 outs in that inning. The Dolphins got 4 straight walks, tied the game at 7 at that point in time. They then went on to win the game, and they won it, as you mentioned, on another walk-off walk. So the Dolphins, as the game went on, were taking a lot more pitches, and we're getting a lot more, opportunities at bat and getting a lot more base runners. And I think that's what they're going to need to do today. If they get their batters some opportunities by working the pitch count, making the Molloy pitchers get into a point in the game where they're struggling to find that third pitch strike, then that could give CSI a chance to get some more key timely hits and give them a chance to get some runs.
And speaking of timely hits, Chris Palomini in the game on Thursday hit one of his 2 home runs in this series. He homered back in Thursday's game and then again in the second game yesterday to get the Dolphins on the board for the first time in Game 2 against the Lions. But you also mentioned base runners, Nick, and the Dolphins did leave 10 on base in Thursday's win. However, they also left 10 on base in their loss yesterday to the Lions in Game 2. Obviously, the Dolphins would like to hit a bit better with runners on base than that. They had plenty of chances in that second game and just couldn't come through with that timely hit. They hope to change that here this afternoon.
And I think the other thing that the Dolphins are looking forward to this game, Joe, and they're obviously hoping that this happens, they really could use some really key timely pitching in this game because we saw on Thursday it looked like the Dolphins were in a good position to win. Ryan Kehoe was looking great throughout the entirety of that game. Then he gives up the 2-run homer in the 7th. The bullpen would then eventually give up the lead. Dolphins, for their sake, thankfully won that game thanks to a brilliant outing out of relief from Jack Kehoe, who came into that game, who was originally the starting right fielder. And then in the 2 games that we saw on Saturday, Game 1, a 10-0 loss. So obviously both things did not go the Dolphins' way in terms of pitching and hitting. Game 2 was a little bit of a better pitching performance from CSI, but they really need to pitch a really strong game here today and try to keep these Molloy bats going back into their dugout without getting a lot of runs in this game.
And let's take a look at today's starting pitching matchup, beginning with the CSI starter, Michael First. First has pitched to an ERA of an even 9 this year with a whip just shy of 2. He comes in with a 1-4 record across 5 appearances and 4 starts. In 18 innings, he's allowed 28 hits, 20 runs, 18 of those earned, He has walked 7 and struck out 12, opposing batters hitting .364 against him. So the Dolphins are obviously hoping that First can turn a corner with his outing here today. Did have a good outing in Myrtle Beach. Not great, but good enough to keep the Dolphins in that game. That was the last time I saw him pitch. It's been quite some time since I've seen him throw. The Dolphins hope to see him put forth a strong effort here on their home field. On the other side, Ryan Hines gets the start for Molloy. He is making his 4th start of the season, also his 4th appearance. He's pitched to a 3.07 ERA with a whip just north of 1. In 14 2/3, he's allowed 11 hits, 5 runs, all earned. He's walked 5 and struck out 15. Opposing batters hitting just 190 against him. And I think what really stands out looking at the numbers for these two pitchers, both of them are averaging less than 5 innings per start. So these two teams may have to rely upon their bullpen for some outs in this game. The Dolphins bullpen came up big in the game on Thursday. The Molloy bullpen wasn't bad either. However, they did struggle with command. The Dolphins drew 10 walks in that game. And if they can manage to do anything like that again, it puts them in a position to break out of their offensive rut that began in the doubleheader yesterday.
And you can argue that game on Thursday, they did it against Molloy's probably best reliever in their bullpen, and Shriver, who coming into that appearance, I think was under an ERA of 1 in that game. So the Dolphins really did a great job of working some walks against them. They got a couple of hits as well. And I think, I mentioned it earlier, I think CSI's game plan is going to have to be working that pitch count. As you mentioned, both stars coming into this game that haven't really thrown over 5 innings of any start this season. So if CSI is going to have a chance in this game, if they could get to the bullpen early for Molloy and force them to use those early relievers, then that gives them a chance in this game and will force them, force Molloy into a situation where they have to think to themselves, which relievers do we have on hand here today after the couple games we played yesterday, the game on Thursday? Who can we rely on today to try to keep this game close? And who we trust the most to try to win this game today and get us to 3-1? And for CSI, the same, sentiment. Who do the Dolphins trust at this point? And the relieving, because that's been a problem, unfortunately, for the CSI this season, is their bullpen has been on and off. If they are on today, then it can give CSI a chance to even up their conference record.
And the good news for both of these teams, Nick, is that neither side has had to dig too deep into their bullpen during the first 3 games of the series. And on the side of Molloy, a big reason why is the performance of James Sill in Game 1 yesterday. He went 8 shutout innings in a win for the Lions. And now his ERA on the season across 5 starts is .26. He has a whip of .79. He is 4-0, and in 34 innings, he's allowed 19 hits, just 1 earned run. He has walked 8 and struck out 39 opposing batters, hitting .156 against him. You can't ask for much more from a starting pitcher if you're the Lions. And at the plate, Sean Welsh has homered twice in this series, as has Chris Palomini. He's been great for the Lions against the Dolphins so far in this 4-game set, and obviously they hope for more of that here today as the Lions look to claim the win in this series.
And talk about James Sill again, Joe. Not only is he doing it on the mound, he's also doing it at the plate. He's pretty much been that two-way player for Molloy this season. He's batting .302 on the season so far with a home run and 10 RBIs with a slugging percentage of .419. So as I mentioned, not only is he doing it on the mound for this Lions team, he's also doing it at the plate. We saw on Thursday he was batting cleanup for this team as a designated hitter. So we know that not only he has the capability of getting a lot of big, timely outs on the rubber, he also has some big-time at-bats as well coming from the batter's box.
And another line who's had a really nice series is Patrick Sanchez. 3 hits in each of the first 2 games, 2 hits in the 3rd game yesterday as well. And we saw it here on Thursday at the CSI Baseball Complex. He made some nice plays over at shortstop on the left side of the infield as well. And I think if you look at the defense that's been played in this series, overall, it's been pretty good. And we saw a lot of that in the game we covered on Thursday, despite the fact that the 2 teams combined for 4 errors. That's a bit misleading. There were some really nice plays in that game that really made a big impact late to keep the game where it was at the time.
Yeah, I think the 2 errors, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, I know one of them at least was from behind the plate on a throw to second base, but as we mentioned in that game, John Del Brito, who got the start behind the plate in that game, started off a little bit rusty, but as the game went on, he made some big throws, got a couple caught stolen bases as well, and that's something that CSI has unfortunately also has plagued them this season. They've allowed a lot of stolen bases. We'll expect Molloy, if they get some base runners here today, expect them to try to, capitalize on those mistakes. But as we mentioned, Brito did play better as that game went along. So I think, as we mentioned, CSI has had issues, obviously, this season with errors. But you said it yourself. These last couple of games, CSI's defense hasn't looked as bad as they did earlier on in the season.
And taking a look back at those errors on Thursday, you were right. Not only was one a throw from behind the plate, two were throwing errors from behind the plate. One was on a stolen base attempt, and the other was on a putout to complete a strikeout over at first base. And a lot of the time, those are really tough throws, especially if you gather that ball late and can't move yourself toward the inside of the line to throw around the runners. So every once in a while, you can excuse that. I don't think that was the situation on Thursday, but those were the two Dolphin errors. One error on the lines was a misplay in left field on a ball that was hit down the line. It turned a single into two bases.
Yep.
And the other error was on an infield single trying to make the play at first. The Lions threw the ball away and allowed the runner to advance to second. So those were the miscues in the field on Thursday, and it looks like lineups are being exchanged at home plate. So what we will do before the game gets underway is bring you today's starting lineup. First for the visiting Molloy University Lions. Excuse my progress through this lineup a bit slowly. I may have to refer to the pronunciation guide. We'll see. Leading off and playing third base is number 15, Sean Welsh. Batting second and playing left field is number 1, Sean Serrano. Batting third and playing second base is number 25, Aiden Larkin. In the cleanup spot is the first baseman, number 35, Nicholas Dagnello. Batting fifth is the shortstop, number 7, Patrick Sanchez. Batting sixth is the right fielder, number 8, Jack Coogan. Batting seventh is the designated hitter, number 20, Thomas Walker. Batting eighth is the catcher, number 34, Jeremy Taggart. And batting ninth is the center fielder, number 10, Joe Barisi. Getting the start, as we mentioned before, for the Lions is number 24, Ryan Hines. Starting lineup for the Dolphins, leading off in right field, number 38, Jack Kehoe. Batting second and playing center field, number 14, Chris Palomini. Batting third is the first baseman, number 22, A.J. Vigliotti. Moved into the cleanup spot is the left fielder, number 1, Jaden Waterman. Batting fifth is designated hitter, number 19, J.J. Hunter. Batting sixth is second baseman, number 10, Thomas Lano. Batting seventh is the third baseman, number 9, Vincent Weigel. Batting eighth is the catcher, number 27, Yandel Brito. And batting ninth is the shortstop, number 3, Michael Flashner. Once again, the starting pitcher for the Dolphins is number 18, Michael First. So with just a few moments to go before the playing of the national anthem and the introduction of starting lineups, we will step off headset here. This has been the McDonald's pregame show. Once again, a thank you to McDonald's, our great scoreboard sponsor here at the College of Staten Island, for bringing you our pregame coverage each and every CSI Dolphins home game. On the other side of this break, the Dolphins take on the Lions in the finale of this 4-game East Coast Conference Series.
Cobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet. Joe Foreman rejoining you alongside Nick Pavona on the call today for the Dolphins and Lions from the CSI Baseball Complex. The Dolphins took the first game of this four-game set on Thursday. The two teams had an off day on Friday, and Molloy swept a doubleheader at home yesterday. Once again on the mound for the Dolphins, Michael First, and in case you missed his numbers, I'll bring those to you once again. First comes in with an even 9 ERA and a whip of 1.94. He has a record of 1-4 across 5 appearances and 4 starts. In 18 innings, he's allowed 28 hits, 20 runs, 18 of those earned. He has walked 7 and struck out 12. Opposing batters hitting at .364 against him.
And the last time he pitched, Joe, was against Adelphi, and the Dolphins, one of their last 2 victories, and ending in a third in that game, allowed 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout in that performance, and got the victory in relief.
Dolphins are hoping to see him pick up another victory here today as he will face Sean Welsh to get things started for the Lions. We mentioned Welsh during the pregame. He's had himself a great series, a couple of home runs.
And for those who tuned in on Thursday, the camera is up today.
Still standing as Welsh shows bunt and takes down and away for ball 1.
And looking back at that replay, we watched the replay of the game itself. That was pretty much a direct on hit. I am very surprised it's still standing up there today.
Nick, I have no idea how the camera survived as that's grounded to short and booted. An early error for the Dolphins as Flashner couldn't handle the ground ball. And the leadoff man is on for Molloy.
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier, Joe. The Dolphins need to avoid errors that could potentially hurt them in this game, and having the leadoff batter on via the error, not something the CSI needed early in this game. Expect maybe at this point Welsh to maybe try to get a stolen base, or even at this bat right here with Serrano, maybe to try to move him into scoring position with a bunt.
Serrano, a left-handed batter. Weigel in on the grass at third. And that pitch misses down and away for ball 1. They'll check on the runner over at first. And Welsh is back in with plenty of time.
I mentioned we saw Molloy on Thursday trying to steal a lot of bases. Dolphins are making sure early in this game with first that Welsh is now moving to second.
It always makes things a bit more difficult on the pitcher when he has to worry about a runner, and we saw how aggressive Molloy was on the bases on Thursday. There goes Welsh, and it is grounded through the vacated left side for a base hit. With Weigel in near the grass and Flashner forced to cover second, there was a big hole over there on the left side, and Serrano took full advantage.
I think the only good thing about Joe, is that at least it went into left field. If that goes into center or right, then Welsh is going to go from first to third. At least for the Dolphins' sake, that one went into left field, so Welsh had to be held up at second base. But some early trouble here in this inning for first.
That will bring up Aiden Larkin. Molloy with 2 on and nobody out here in the first, and Larkin takes a called strike 1.
Larkin had a nice game on Thursday for this Lions team. Now in the third spot in the order again here today.
Long look in here from first, who comes set. And that's hit in the air, foul ball, and into the seats down the right field line.
I think the only good thing about today, Joe, is compared to Thursday, no fog. It's nice.
I will be able to track the ball today.
We'll be able to see it.
We are on the campus internet. We are wired, and we will not be having any connectivity issues. I tried to salvage the stream after I went home on Thursday night, but it was a lot as that misses high. We lost most of the home first inning, but I was able to recover some of it from the computer's internal backup of the game. So I pieced it back together and re-uploaded as I do every game. Count 1 and 2 here on Larkin. And that's hit sharply on the ground to second. Dolphins will have to hurry to turn 2, and they will not turn the double play, as it looked like Serrano may have been petitioning that Flashner came off second base early.
I'll look to see if we have it maybe on the close-up replay, if that was indeed the case.
It looked like as well he may have lost the ball on the transfer. Maybe that's what he was petitioning. He looked to have bobbled it, because I think they had a chance to turn 2 there.
So, Joe, it was a low throw. Flashner had to make the tag at the runner at second. He didn't even step on the base.
Got it.
That's what I thought initially, but I wanted to double-check that. So the throw from Leno was low, and Flashner had to apply the tag at the runner at second to record that out. So the Dolphins don't get the double play, but another chance here to at least get a double play and end this inning.
Well, it's no wonder the ball came loose on the transfer, since he had to make that tag. But were it not for the low throw, perhaps the Dolphins turned 2 there. I think they definitely had a chance.
Yeah. I think the other thing for Leno is it was a tough hit ground ball towards him, so he had to make a quick throw.
Runner going on that pitch, and Leno will come up to cut it off. So the Lions take second base, and Nick, that eliminates the double play.
Well, and remember what happened on Thursday, Joe. That cost them potentially a run in that game. They got caught in a rundown at third base where the runner went outside of the baseline. So they learned from that mistake on Thursday, and they don't do it there. But now, as you mentioned, the double play ball is out of effect.
With less than 2 outs, that's effectively a free base, as that's fouled straight back. But the runner on third, I don't remember who it was that was tagged out between third and home, or as you said, he did eventually go out of the baseline, would have been tagged out. Either way, I think the runner had to have made that decision on his own to go when the throw was made. It was a poor decision as the Dolphins cut that throw off and induced the rundown. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Nicholas Dagnello. And he lines one down the left field line for an extra base hit. That will roll all the way into the corner beyond the Dolphins' bullpen, and 2 runs come in to score. Dagnello plates a pair with an RBI double, and the Lions go in front 2-0.
A nice piece of hitting from Dagnello right there, Joe, going the opposite way, just down that third base line for an extra base hit. And I was going to mention what we saw on Thursday as well from Dagnello. He had a nice RBI double into left center field. This time gets a nice 2-run double down the third base line and into left field, and an early 2-0 lead for Molloy in this game.
He's proven to be a very capable opposite field hitter, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Especially in key RBI situations. give him 2 more RBIs in the series as Patrick Sanchez swings and misses for strike 1. We mentioned during the pregame how prolific Sanchez has been in this series. 8 hits in the 3 games. Comes the 0-1. Up high, 1-1.
So an early test here for first in this game, Joe. He gives up the 2-run double there. Now he's trying to avoid a 3rd run from coming in. And it's not easy. We know we've seen the numbers this season for Molloy so far. We know that they are a very capable team of hitting. So it will be interesting to see how first, gets out of this jam.
There's a swing and a miss, 1-2 now on Sanchez. And I think the really unfortunate circumstance here in this first inning is that it got started with an error. And obviously that changes the complexion of the inning completely when the leadoff man reaches. And there's, of course, the impact on the morale of the team when it comes via an error.
And plus the potential double play ball they also had at second base, but they were only able to get one out.
That's grounded through the left side for a base hit. And they are waving the runner home from second. It gets by Waterman in left, and Dagnello will score easily. Dolphins commit their second error of the inning as the error in left field allows Sanchez to take second base. I think he will be credited with an RBI single, as I believe that run may have scored anyway. We'll have to check the replay, Nick, because at the very least, I think there would have been a play at the plate.
I think it would have been. I think regardless, it would have been an RBI single. The problem for Waterman in that play, Joe, is he was looking towards making the play at home. He wasn't looking at the ball initially, and that's why it booted off of his glove and went behind him. So that's another unfortunate mistake for CSI already in this game. We mentioned Thursday they had 2 errors, already 2 here in this first inning.
That will bring Jack Coogan to the plate. He takes down and in for ball 1. And all of a sudden, Nick, the Dolphins are in a position where they really need to lock in and find a way to limit the damage to 3 here in the first inning. As we've seen what these line bats are capable of, and you don't want to see a very crooked number go up on the board this early.
And the Dolphins already, Joe, starting to make noise down the left field line towards their bullpen. We'll see who that potentially is going to warm up in a little bit.
It's been 3 well-placed ground balls that have plated the runs for Molloy. 1 down the line, 1 through a vacated left side, and that one just beyond the reach of Flashner. Count 1-1 here on Coogan, and he grounds one toward the middle. Tough play, and it's knocked down by Flashner, but he couldn't handle it on the tough hop. It's an infield single for Coogan. And the Lions now have runners on the corners with 1 out.
Well, we'll see again, Joe, if the Dolphins, or I should say the Lions, if they go for another steal of second base to prevent another double play ball from happening. But you mentioned it. There's been a couple of ground balls that have been hit in the infield, and the Dolphins, unfortunately, haven't had it gone their way so far in this first inning. And now potential for Molloy to early in this game really get more runs and potentially put this game on ice here
There
early.
goes the runner, and that pitch was fouled off. Well, you said it earlier, and I'll say it again, Nick. At least the Dolphins right now find themselves in a position where they could turn 2. Whether or not the Lions give them that chance, I think it's unlikely. They're probably going to run here, and they did on that first pitch.
Looked like they were going for another hit and run that we saw earlier in this inning.
Right-handed batter up, could look to drive it the other way as the runner was not going on that pitch. This is Thomas Walker at the plate.
And something to know about driving it the other way, Joe, if you look at the flag in left field, that the wind is blowing towards right field, so that could be the case.
There goes the runner. The throw goes to second, and it skips it to center field. That will bring home the 4th Molloy run. And the Lions now lead it 4-0.
And a 3rd error now of the inning for CSI. It's just really unraveling so far for the Dolphins so far in this game.
It's been a series of Dolphin miscues and some well-placed ground balls. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins trail by 4. Keep in mind, the Dolphins did take a 4-0 lead on Molloy on Thursday. The Lions came back from that, but Dolphins very quickly are moving into an extremely difficult spot against a team that's coming off a conference championship and scored 16 runs across 2 games yesterday. Count remains 1-2 on Walker. Walker, in yesterday's doubleheader, had a nice day. Had a 2-for-4 game with 3 runs batted in game 1. And here he goes down on strikes.
Might have gotten a piece of it, but regardless, it's still a strikeout for first. And a big second out for CSI right there, Joe. If the Dolphins are at least able to keep this to within 4 runs, then maybe they have some, they'll have some kind of momentum going into the bottom half of the first inning. But it's really going to come down to if they can get this final out right here.
Also, I don't know if you captured a look at it on replay or if you happened to pick it up, Nick, but I didn't think the runner was coming home on the throw to second. Was he going before the throw skipped through into center field? I don't think he was.
I don't think he was. I'd have to double check. I don't know if I even got the replay. I think I did. I'll double check.
I'm fairly certain the runner was staying put at third, but you could double check that possibly. At the plate now, Jeremy Taggart, starting catcher for the Lions, and please don't foul the ball that way.
Yeah, please don't.
Our camera, as we mentioned earlier, was struck on Thursday. Fortunately, it did come back.
The camera went through a rough day on Thursday. Not only that, but it was raining profusely outside, which didn't look like it initially in here, but
runner headed for third, half swing by Taggart, and he went around. So Taggart strikes out, and the top half of the first inning comes to a close. But the Lions score 4 runs on 4 hits, helped along by 3 Dolphin errors. CSI comes to bat for the first time when we return, trailing 4-0.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Home first inning from the CSI baseball complex with the Dolphins trailing 4-0 after the Lions put together a 4-hit first inning. The Dolphins committed 3 errors. Looking back at it, Nick, I think officially 1 run went down as unearned. Make it 2 because the runner who reached on the error also unearned. So
yeah.
2 earned runs in the inning from Molloy. Jack Kehoe had 2-0 leading things off for the Dolphins. He shows bunt taking all the way and looks at a strike.
You mentioned Ryan Hines coming into this game, Joe, and his last start, a very strong outing for him against Franklin Pierce, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned on 3 walks, but 8 strikeouts in that game.
And that's hit toward the middle, and Nick, Look who's there to stop it. It's Sanchez.
Yeah, the shift was perfectly placed right there, Joe, by the Lions. A great job by Molloy's defense and a great play by Sanchez with the first out.
We spoke about his glove during the pregame, and once again he flashes the leather right there. That was a tough hop, and the ball handcuffed him. He had no choice but to play it very awkwardly up against his body. He made the play, and there's one away in the inning. Chris Palomini, the batter, with that foul ball. He's behind 0-1. Nick and I had to grab the charger for our MacBook. I got the power down signal, which is never good.
Yeah.
All good now, as the 1-1 is swung on and missed, and it looked like Palomini was making a bid for a third home run in this series.
Yeah, trying to get some life into this Dolphins team right now, Joe, after a 4-run first inning from Molloy. One swing could potentially do that.
That's fouled away into the parking lot. Count remains 1-2.
Thankfully not in the second row today.
I'm way up top.
Right, I'm actually right next to you. I saw your car. I was like, all right, perfect.
Great minds think alike.
Have to park up in that top spot.
And Palomini fouls off another. Chris was 3 for 6 in the game on Thursday with a home run, 2 runs scored, and a couple of RBIs.
The aforementioned home run that we could not see.
Well, that was not our fault.
No.
As Palomini goes down looking, and he's a strikeout victim for out number 2.
That was a nice fastball on the outside by Hines, and quickly 2 outs now in this first inning.
I cannot get over how loud Lou is. Our public address announcer today, Louis Matrone, booming.
All of Victory Boulevard can hear him.
They might hear him back in my old stomping grounds on Kell Avenue.
Would they hear him at the new stopping grounds for you?
No. That's about
Might be
30 minutes away.
Might be close enough.
It's pretty loud. As Vigliotti took a big cut there, the count now even at 1.
If you look at the shift that the Lions are currently playing, Joe, they know that Vigliotti is an opposite way hitter. They're playing more towards right center field.
Center field are definitely favoring the right field side. The infield looks to be favoring him to pull. Just a bit, I'd say. Look how deep they're playing him at shortstop as well. As that's hit the other way, shallow right. And coming on to make the catch is Coogan to retire the side. The Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in the home first inning. Molloy leads Staten Island 4-0 after 1.
Dolphins fans, want to stay connected with everything happening at the College of Staten Island? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch all the live streams, exclusive behind-the-scenes tours, the latest episodes of CSI Today Talks, student film showcases, and so much more new programming. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now at youtube.com/College of Staten Island, or scan the QR code on the screen and stay in the loop with everything CSI.
Top of the second inning from the CSI baseball complex. And Molloy's number 9 hitter, Joe Barisi, comes to the plate. And he takes well outside for ball 1.
Dolphins quickly retired and that bottom half of the first inning. So back here in the top of the second, and already at the 9 spot in the order.
It was right back to work for Michael First here in the second, and he has a quick out, number 1.
And we know the Dolphins are hoping that First can get a couple more, and maybe a couple more outs in this game, having to avoid the Dolphins bullpen having to be relied on early in this one. After a 4 spot in the first inning, that was the case. We did see someone warming up in the Dolphin pen. There isn't anyone right now, but they're at least hoping that First can get them a couple more outs.
What I'm going to do as well is go into the room next door and add the pitch count and the pitch sequence to our live stats and try and get those for us. So we have that to refer to the rest of the way. At the plate here from Molloy is Sean Welsh. He took a big cut at that first pitch and is behind 0-1. We're not doing this again, are we, Nick? Target practice with the camera?
It's like there's a big exclamation red
Hit it
target
here
on
and
it.
get a free summer of camp for your child at the all-new CSI Summer Camp.
Nice plug. Joe's still a busy man.
Always busy. We're going to have to silence this. I'm very in demand these days.
Mm-hmm.
Count 1 and 2 here on Welsh. That's chopped foul. I'm so in demand that it looks like I'm going to be pulling double duty on Wednesday. Really triple duty. We have 3 very important business things to attend to. We'll talk more about that after this at bat. 2 of them involve CSI Sportsnet, as Welsh is plunked by the 1 and 2 pitch. And with that, the Lions have a 1-out base runner. But on Wednesday, we have a very important meeting as we have our introduction to Flow Sports, our production meeting, all of the SIDs and producers of the broadcasts around the conference. We'll get on one call and we'll get a rundown of what things will look like next year on the back end and how to get our streams up and going. Then at 1:30, I have a playoff game that just came on to our schedule with my company. I have to cover that at 1:30. It's a hockey game, so it should be done probably by about the time we have first pitch here at the baseball complex. I'm then going to race over and join you on that broadcast. So I'll be a very busy man on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
At the plate here for Molloy, Sean Serrano. He's behind 0-1 after a first pitch foul ball. So for those who are joining us as part of our baseball audience that may not have heard already, next year all of our broadcasts are moving to Flow Sports, more specifically the Flow College platform. It will require an annual subscription, as that's punched in the air on the infield. Dolphins could turn 2 here. Flashner's throw back to first. Skips in, not in time, and it was off the glove of Vigliotti anyway. Serrano retired, and there were 2 outs.
Thankfully, there was no collision as well towards third base. Weigel and Flashner almost colliding to try to make that out right there.
Bit too close, but fortunately no contact made, and Aiden Larkin will be the batter. But as I was saying, Nick, we move to Flow College next year. There is an annual subscription that will be required to watch those games. However, we do expect to see a lot of live stream improvements next year. I think one of them that needs to be noted is that we will be back in the soccer press box next season with wired internet, thankfully. The internet down at the new field, which is great, by the way. The field itself is great. The internet, not so much.
Yeah.
So we will be very pleased to be back in the press box next season with our wired internet. We do anticipate the addition of additional camera angles and some new cameras as well. We'll see what that has in store for us, but we do expect to make some major improvements next year. Also, and as we have the runner going here, that's hit out to right, and this should end the inning. My days of stepping off headset mid-broadcast are over, and your days on public address and behind the stats desk are over. You are moving over to Sportsnet full-time next year as our lead engineer for basketball, joining Nick and I on the broadcast each home game. And hopefully the other side of the table can manage without you.
Well, big hope. Big hope.
I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
But there will be nothing we can do. We are charging. You are with us, and that is how it's going to be. We're through 1.5 here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Molloy leads Staten Island 4-0. Home second inning from the CSI Baseball Complex sees Jaden Waterman swing and miss the first pitch he sees for strike one. As we mentioned during the pregame, Waterman's been red hot and has been moved up into the cleanup spot. Was typically batting 5th or 6th anyway. Quickly in an 0-2 hole here. It was a 1-2-3 first inning for Ryan Hines on the mound. And he misses up and away with the 0-2.
Yeah, Hines retired the first 3 Dolphins pretty quickly, Joe. I don't know the exact pitch count that he had in that first inning, but it felt like he threw under 10 pitches in that inning.
I forgot to go next door and update the live stats as Waterman strikes out, but I want to make sure we get those pitch counts. Next half inning, I hope.
There's a lot of hoping on this broadcast.
I can remember a game that I called 8 or 9 years ago, but I can't remember to go in the room next door during the break and make sure we get the pitch sequence and the pitch count for the live stats.
Long-term memory good, short-term memory it happens.
Not so good. J.J. Hunter, the batter here, he's behind 0-1.
I'm also the same way. I remember things from years ago, but I can't remember things that happened 10 minutes ago.
When something matters to you, it is tough to forget it.
Yeah.
And those games, those early games here on Sportsnet, to me, were a dream come true. They really were. I'm still living the dream.
Of course.
Here comes the 1-1, and Hunter swings and misses. But if you ever told me that I could get paid to call games while having basically full autonomy over the live stream,
yeah,
can't ask for more than that. As Hunter just got a piece there, it remains 1-2.
Hines, I believe, looking for his 3rd strikeout already in this game if he's able to retire Hunter now with a 1-2 count.
TJ Leno, the on-deck batter. And I had a big missed opportunity, Nick. I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
When it comes related to TJ Leno indirectly. So during the wrap-up for the game, I always choose the headline image. TJ was the headline image after the walk-off walk. There was actually a photo of him jogging down to first base after a walk. That should have been the photo. And I found it after the fact as Hunter strikes out. But a big missed opportunity there. I should have used the photo of him walking as the headline image for the win on Thursday.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. I think regardless, the Dolphins are just happy they won that game.
I don't think they thought twice about the headline
Yeah.
image. I did. Those are the things I think about as Leno takes strike one.
It's a different aspect, thinking about it from a sports information director compared to, the team itself. They're obviously happy that they won the game, but they could care less, what the headline looks like in terms of photos and stuff like that.
I tell the story seemingly every other game, Nick, but I'm going to tell it again. I think you know what I'm about to say. When I was on the team bus, what Mike Morrow said to me about the post-game stories.
I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think I remember what he
said, whoever writes these stories really does a great job.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
You don't say. He had no idea that I wrote the stories. I had no idea anybody read them. As Leno hits one to the opposite field, and tracking it into his glove was Serrano to retire the side. Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in the second. Molloy still leads 4-0.
Balance. It isn't just essential in your sport. It's essential in life, especially college life. It's everything you need to thrive in school, in sport, and everything in between. The key is just finding a place where you can pursue it all. Because the real beauty lies in the balance. If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Third inning from the CSI Baseball Complex gets underway with a called strike. Nicholas Dagnello at the plate. He doubled home a pair back in the first inning. And the 0-1 misses low. Count even, 1 ball and 1 strike.
A nice bounce back second inning for Michael First there, Joe, and now comes back into this game in the third inning and would love another clean slate here to keep this game a 4-run deficit.
That pitch misses high, 2-1. Well, First got back on track after a tough first inning with a pretty quick second. We have him unofficially at 41 pitches. And Nick, you did remember during the break, as I did not. We got the pitch count and the pitch sequence into our live stats.
I almost did forget again. I think it was just before we came back from break that I remembered it.
I was basking in the praise of my writing too much that I forgot.
All must-read stories.
That's chopped foul. Well, the way that Athletic Communications is trending, most do not write stories in paragraph format anymore. They're typically not formal. It's usually bullet points.
I thought you were going to say most stories are not written the way I write them.
Well, they aren't. They're written as a series of bullet points generally. And that's ball 4. So First loses Dagnello to a walk. And that will bring up Patrick Sanchez with the leadoff runner on.
Dagnello's had some nice at-bats so far in this game. A 2-run double, and now a walk there, working the count full of 3-2. And we'll see what Sanchez could do.
Sanchez 1 for 1 at the plate, drove in a run with a base hit in his first at bat. And here we go again, Nick. The Dolphins now have to be occupied with the base runner over at first. And that makes things that much more difficult.
He's paying close attention to Dagnello so far.
Count 1-0 on Sanchez. And the 1-0 misses high. And I think the challenge for the pitcher in this spot, when you have the runner on first that commands attention, is you can't let it take your attention away from the task at hand and cost you your command. Because a walk moves that runner up anyway. And Dagnello right now not showing any signs he's looking to go.
Yeah. Those first 2 pitches that he missed with were fastballs pretty much chest high, so nothing that Sanchez would swing at. That one, a little bit more in on the hands, and he offered at it, and it went foul down the third base line.
Count 2 balls and 1 strike on the line shortstop. And they'll check on Dagnello again. Another check toward first ahead of the 2-1. Swing and a miss.
That was a big swing and a miss right there from Sanchez. Well, an extra base hit on that one.
This is a big pitch here because if you run it full, the runner could decide to go on 3-2. Dagnello once again has shown no indication he's looking to run. And there he goes.
Right on cue.
Good pitch to throw on. Throw on target, and they got him. Dagnello out at second on a strong throw from behind the plate by Brito.
Good throw from Brito right there, Joe. We mentioned the last game towards the later innings that he made some good throws to get a couple stolen bases, and that one was a nice throw on target on that outside fastball, and a huge out, number 1 for CSI.
I think the key for Brito as Sanchez strikes out has been just keep the ball off the infield grass, because when he throws to second and does not put the ball on the grass or the infield dirt, his throws have been good. And he had a great pitch to throw on as well. I think that helps.
Yeah. And I think also for CSI, how about the changing of an inning? A leadoff walk start the inning. Now, nobody on, and now 2 outs in the inning.
I was tracking that ball into the parking lot, Nick. It lands on the grass.
Thank God for that one. I think, I mean, we always say it, how many broadcasts now at this point where you just have to.
If you're still parking in the first
yeah,
two
you're
rows.
you're just kind of asking for it at this rate.
I'd almost say you deserve it with the amount of times that we've mentioned that you should not park there.
We've given plenty of warnings over the years about not doing that.
First quickly ahead of Jack Coogan, 0-2,
and well, it's not camera close, but it's car close. I think any time at this point where the ball gets hit that way, you're going to be very worried.
I'm still dumbstruck looking at the backstop, how a foul ball got over it in line with the camera.
Yeah, I got a good question. I'll actually after this pitch.
What do you got as Coogan strikes out to end the inning?
What was more mind-blowing to you?
Me being hit.
You being hit?
Me being hit.
Okay.
Being hit.
You know exactly where I was going with it.
I did, because for me to get hit, it not only had to get in the window, but it had to hit me.
Yes.
And it's the second time that I've been hit. Twice I've been hit by a foul ball in the box.
Let's keep it that way.
Through an open window.
Let's keep it that way.
Let's keep it at 2. Good point. We are through 2.5 here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Molloy leads Staten Island 4-0.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Vincent Weigel will lead off for the Dolphins in the home half of the third inning. CSI trails 4-0 as Weigel fouls one off into the parking lot. Watch out, row one.
Mm-hmm. It's tough because, obviously you want to not have a far
Get
walk.
your steps in there.
Yeah, you don't want to have a far walk.
As that's snagged on the chopper. Good play there by Hines, and Weigel is retired for out number 1.
Yeah, Hines had to go up on that one to snag it down with his glove and made a nice play. And gets the first out of the inning on just 2 pitches.
Yandel Brito will be the batter here. He had a strong throw to second that helped shorten that inning for Michael First in the top half. Here he looks at a strike. You can see, Nick, the outfield alignment is changing batter to batter. Just took a look out there by chance, and you can see how much further to our left the center fielder Barisi is playing against Brito.
Yeah, the Lions certainly have their scouting reports for the majority of these Dolphins hitters, and they saw a bit of it on Thursday as well as 2 games yesterday.
Brito takes the 0-2 for ball 1. One and 2 the count on the Dolphins catcher. And he chops that one foul. Good turnout here on what is a pretty chilly day.
Yeah, it's very cold.
And with the wind, it doesn't feel any better than the listed temperature. I think they had the high in the upper 40s as Brito swings and misses for strike 3. Both teams well represented here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
It's unfortunate because yesterday was a nice day as well, weather-wise. It didn't feel really cold. I was able to wear a short sleeve shirt going outside. Today I saw the 30s. I said nope.
It was
a long
very
day.
Nice day yesterday. Michael Flashner, the batter, hitting 9th for the Dolphins today. That's sliced foul, and we've seen the Dolphins do that, put a hitter at the bottom of the lineup and at the top of the lineup that has been able to get on base and make things happen. Flashner got his season off to a nice start, was named the ECC Rookie of the Week as he fouls off another. Still hitting above the 300 mark at 308. He's drawn 10 walks already. TJ Leno has drawn 21. As Flashner bounces one to second. And he was running hard all the way down the line, but the throw is in time, and the side is retired. 9 up and 9 down for Ryan Hines. The Dolphins trail 4-0 through 3.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
And we're back for the 4th inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins trailing the Lions 4-0. At the plate from Molloy, Thomas Walker. He's behind 0-1 after a called strike. And Walker looked to have attempted a half swing there. Either way, it's 0-2. And that's it out toward right field. Kehoe there, and he makes the catch for the first out.
First gets the first out of the inning on just 3 pitches, and he's kind of settled down into this game, Joe, after that rough first inning, as we mentioned. 2 straight scoreless innings, now comes into this 4th inning, looking for a 3rd straight inning of scoreless baseball.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, 2 of the runs scored by Molloy in the first inning were unearned. First should have been out of the inning much sooner, as that breaking ball's in for a strike. At the plate, Jeremy Taggart, he's 0 for 1. But since that first inning, First has been really good. And he's going to have 2 quick outs here in the 4th as Kehoe has another one in right. 2 away.
Yeah, he's retired the first 2 batters in just 5 pitches, so he's made some good work with these last couple of batters, and that's a good sign for City's side in this game. You know, I mentioned earlier is would they had to have gone to the bullpen early in this one. They were trying to avoid that, and so far, that might be the case.
Number 9 hitter, Joe Barisi at the plate, looks at strike 1. Barisi's 0 for 1 at the plate.
This is an out you want to get, Joe. Don't want to give a 2-out rally with the top of the order coming up on deck.
And it's very quickly 0-2. So first now 1 strike away from a lightning quick 4th inning.
This would be the 8th pitch he's thrown in the inning.
And he might have overthrown it just a bit. 1-2. Here comes the 1-2. Outside, 2-2. Well, if there's one thing you don't want to do, Nick, it's lose this hitter to a walk. It's the number 9 hitter. I think you need to attack here. And that's off the inside corner, 3-2.
Yeah, he's missed with 3 straight, went back-to-back fastballs. Might have gone there with it again on that inside pitch, but he's now in danger of walking the number 9 hitter in the order.
Comes the payoff pitch. And that misses for ball 4. And that one hurts if you're first because you were staring in the face of a very quick 1-2-3 inning. I think if there's perhaps a positive to this, you get to face Welsh now rather than leading off an inning where he can really set the table for the middle of the lineup. But that's trying to find some sort of positive takeaway when you issue that 2-out walk, and you have to think Barisi would be a threat to run here. And the Dolphins certainly think so. Before that walk, the bottom third of the Molloy lineup was 0 for 5. They're still 0 for 5 as they very nearly caught him leaning the wrong way, Nick.
Yeah, he just got back to the first base.
He was going. And you have to think the dugout and the infield picked that up. He was definitely running on that pitch. And that's it out toward right field again. Kehoe racing in, makes the catch. And the side is retired. So first works around the 2-out walk. 3 fly balls to right field. Set the Lions aside in the 4th. They lead Staten Island 4-0.
NCAA athletes don't just compete. They make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence. They bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
Top of the order due up for the Dolphins here in the home fourth inning as Jack Kehoe will lead things off, and he looks at a breaking ball strike.
Dolphins looking for their first base runner of this game, Joe. 9 up, 9 down so far for Hines.
He's been very strong, continuing with the theme of great starting pitching from Molloy in the series, as that's grounded to first, and Kehoe is retired for out number 1.
And just quickly like that, 2 pitches, and he gets the first out of the inning.
And I think that's a part of the concern for the Dolphins right now. Hines has thrown just 41 pitches, and you haven't had a base runner, so they're not really working very long at bats either.
I think after getting into that 4-run deficit already in this game.
And there's a flare down the right field line, just foul.
That would surely have been extra bases for Palomini right there, but just missed it by a few inches.
And given how far the right fielder was from that ball, they are playing him as a pull hitter.
Yeah, I don't really remember a lot of opposite way base hits for Palomini so far in his career, so it makes sense why they're playing him towards left field.
And he's quickly in a 2-strike hole. But back in the day, I used to score the games on the Game Changer app, and it created a spray chart for every player. If you reuse those players, it would create the spray chart. It was a nice feature. That's grounded to the left side, and Sanchez can't make the play. What do you think, Nick? Hit or error? I don't think that's routine.
I think that's I don't know.
I think it's a hit, Nick. He's moving to his right, charging. We'll get a look at the replay.
Yeah, that's not an easy play to score, I'll tell you that.
It's not a routine play, Nick. I don't think it's a routine play, charging into your right with your third baseman coming in next to you.
We'll have a next pitch.
It was toward the hole as well. I'm going to get a look at it on replay. That's popped up. A mile high just beyond the infield, and it falls. Palomini racing for second, and the throw is in time.
Well, that's a weird play you don't see every day.
Very unusual, and you could tell Larkin was having trouble with it. But let's go back to that ground ball very quickly.
So if I pull, I think I lost it for. Oh, here it is. Okay.
I'll update you on the at-bat as Jaden Waterman takes low.
It's tough because he was going down to make the play, but
I don't think it's routine. And Palomini has good speed as well. Where does the ball hit his glove?
Hits his glove right here when Palomini's right there.
I don't think it's a guarantee because he still has to make the throw on the run going opposite the bag. There's no way that's an error. Shame on our statistician for scoring it that way. As that's blooped toward the right field line as well. Foul ball.
Had to look out over there towards that bullpen area.
Another near collision.
Joe's going to make his way. That was very close, Joe. Very, very close. Joe's going to make his way towards statistician to converse with that hit or error play, but almost lost his laptop in the process. That would have been catastrophic for him, as Waterman will strike out looking to retire the side. So the Dolphins do strand a runner here in this inning, Joe, as Waterman does go down looking, but they do have their first hit of this game as we now head to the top of the fifth.
Yeah, we have a bit of extra wiring up here in the booth, and I almost took the old Sportsnet laptop down for the count there and broke it into many, many pieces. But we're okay,
very close.
And we are through 4 here at the CSI Baseball Complex. The Lions lead the Dolphins 4-0.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Fifth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex begins with ball 1 to Sean Serrano. Serrano 1 for 2 at the plate in this game. And that one is grounded toward the left side and through for a base hit. And Serrano took a huge turn, but will pull up at first with a leadoff single. And Nick, that's the second time he's found a gap on that left side where it seemed like there was none.
And the last time was during a hit and run attempt. And this time around, just as you mentioned, he found that small little gap between the shortstop and the third baseman, and he gets a leadoff single to start the fifth.
That will bring up Aiden Larkin. Larkin is 0 for 2. And once again, first will have to work preoccupied with a base runner.
And we know Serrano certainly has the capability of stealing bases, so a dangerous runner already on base for the Lions.
Serrano this season 6 of 7 on stolen bases, and he'll have to head back here if Palomini makes this catch. And
he better start running.
He misread the ball. Palomini with a throw from center field high and backed up by Brito. And Nick, if that throw is about a foot lower, they had him.
Yeah. And thankfully for the Dolphins, Brito backed that one up. If not, that's going into the Lion dugout.
That ball was completely misread by Serrano. He thought it was over Palomini's head.
Yeah, he thought for sure that was an extra base hit for Larkin.
I don't know if he underestimated his range or misread the ball, because in the air, I thought for sure Palomini had it.
I think he might have been expecting the wind to keep carrying the ball, because I mentioned earlier it's kind of blowing towards right field, so maybe he thought that it was just going to keep going into right center.
Maybe, but he was turned around
he
second base.
Yeah, he was going to third.
He was on his way to third. And then there's always the question, did he touch on the way back? There was a play yesterday where the Dolphins appealed and won the appeal to get a big out, as that's hit high in the air, shallow center, and Palomini has it again, 2 gone. So Michael First just crossed the 70 pitch mark. The next pitch for him will be number 72. The last batter retired Nicholas Stagnello, and now Patrick Sanchez comes to the plate.
Once again, seeing action up in the Dolphin bullpen. So the Dolphins hoping that First can at least get out of this inning and keep it a 4-run deficit.
Well, based on the pitchers that have not been used, I would guess that Francesco Bonvini would be next in line to come in for the Dolphins. Runner going here, and that's hit high in the air, shallow left. Tough play for Flashner, and he makes the catch. Waterman wasn't going to get there. Flashner ranges back and contorts his body to make the catch on the pop-up, and the inning is over. The Lions strand 1 on base, but they still lead CSI 4-0, headed to the home 5th.
In a very historical school, and we really have to recognize, as students on this campus, the amount of sacrifice that has been bared for us to be able to receive education.
CUNY has really inspired me to think creatively and think differently about how it is we listen to one another. And so long term, my goal is to continue that pattern.
But I think I'd encourage students to attend CUNY because the faculty here is truly amazing.
J.J. Hunter will lead things off for the Dolphins here in the home 5th inning. Hunter behind 0-1. And he takes outside 1-1.
Dolphins were able to get their first hit of this game, Joe, in that previous inning, but still got retired pretty quickly as Hines is really grooved in this game.
It's a swing and a miss by Hunter, 1-2, and Dolphins broke it to the hit column in the 4th. Came on a weak infield grounder. They very nearly picked up a hit on a blooper down the line that just went foul as well, and the count now 2-2 on Hunter, but I think for Hines, you have to love the way things have gone so far. I don't think he's allowed any solid contact. None. And the 2-2 is hit in the air. Shallow right field. And coming in to make the catch is Coogan for the first out.
Now batting the second baseman, number 10, T.J. Leno.
T.J. Leno now comes up with 1 away in the 5th.
T.J. Leno, the batter. And he takes a breaking ball out of the zone for ball 1. The rare lefty-lefty matchup. We don't see it too often. As that's taken for ball 2.
I believe there's 3 lefty-lefty matches we have in this game for CSI. This being one of them, Flashner. And then Keogh.
Yep. Now, do the Dolphins have anyone bat left, throw left? It's on the roster on the website, and it's over here. But non-pitchers, as Leno draws his team-leading 22nd walk.
So what was the question? Bats left, throws left?
Bats left, throws left is not a pitcher.
Yeah, there's none.
Didn't think so.
I don't think you really see that very often either if you're, a hitter. It doesn't really – you see maybe like for first baseman, but that's about it.
That's about it. That's about it. As Vincent Weigel takes a strike. Well, as a right-hander who also hit right-handed, anytime we'd play pickup wiffle ball, always wanted to experiment batting lefty.
Yeah.
So that's taken low. It never really felt that unnatural. It just felt like your reactions were slowed. Just a bit, by a fraction, and that's enough to make all the difference. Comes the 1-1, and Weigel hits one out to right. Hit pretty well, chasing Coogan back toward the warning track, and it lands at the base of the fence. Leno headed for third, and the stop sign is put up there as Weigel is into second base standing with a double.
Well, you mentioned earlier in the inning, Joe, the Dolphins really hadn't had much solid contact in this game. That was by far the best hit ball of this game by CSI. Weigel hitting that one over the right fielder Coogan's head for an extra base hit. And CSI with their first opportunity in this game to get some run support.
That will bring up Yandel Brito. Brito 0 for 1. Comes to the plate here with 2 in scoring position. And you get the feeling, Nick, this is a spot where the Dolphins have to come through with at least 1. You could make the case they need at least 2. Sounds like they're having a disagreement on scoring.
A very heated discussion in there. My goodness. Thankfully, we don't have it here at the commentary desk.
I know what they're discussing. Let's go see if they got it right in the stats. I know exactly what play they're talking about.
You have to relay me on what it is.
Oh, Steph. You can't do that. That's grounded to third. That will get a run in. I'm going to go end this discussion right now.
Okay.
And you'll pick me up.
Okay. Dolphins get their first run of the game. They also move Weigel to third base. So Brito does bring home the run, and that makes it 4-1. So we'll see if Michael Flasher can extend this inning for CSI. A really big at bat. The number 9 hitter in the Dolphin order with a runner on third. If he can extend the inning, he will bring it back to the top of the order. Dolphins with by far their best inning so far in this game in terms of hitting. As he shows bunt down the third base line, gonna be a tough play. It will be a base hit. Trying to make the scoop at third was Walsh with his bare hand, but to no avail. And the Dolphins now make it a 4-2 game, Joe.
And how about that from Flashner at the bottom of the lineup? The Lions not expecting it with 2 outs. He lays down the bunt. And keep in mind as well, you have a runner coming home in that situation, so there is the opportunity to make a play at the plate. The bunt was perfect. The infield was not in far enough to make it any play at home. And Flashner, once the ball got under the bare hand of the third baseman, was easily able to make it to first safely. The Dolphins do pick up the 2 runs here in the 5th inning, and all of a sudden, Nick, they're halfway back.
And all of a sudden, now they have the tying run at the plate in Kehoe.
Kehoe is definitely a threat to tie this game with 1 swing, and I think it helps on a day like this that he's a left-handed batter. Kehoe with a couple of home runs this year, but you said it earlier, Nick, the wind was blowing to right field. Right now it's calm. As Kehoe just got a piece there, was tied up and in.
And keep in mind, if he can keep the inning going, then you bring up Palomini and Vigliotti, the next 2 batters. So a chance for another 2-out rally for CSI in this entire series.
And was he hit by that? Somehow he got out of the way.
Wow. How did he get out of the way?
I don't know. That breaking ball just didn't break, and it rode up and in on him, and somehow Kehoe was able to spin out of the way. Runner going, and Kehoe strikes out. Well, that would have been a great pitch to throw on. It was a high fastball, and Kehoe couldn't catch up to it. But the Dolphins do score twice here in the 5th, and the Dolphins are halfway back. Our score, Molloy 4, Staten Island 2.
Imagine earning a world-class education on a beautiful and accessible campus in the world's most exciting city. Not only does CSI offer a magnificent campus atmosphere, the College of Staten Island excels in dynamic student life, outstanding academics, new high-end apartment-style living, and a dedicated, award-winning faculty.
Sixth inning getting underway from the College of Staten Island, where the Dolphins have pulled to within 2 runs. It's now 4-2, and Michael First is back out on the bump for CSI, beginning his 6th inning of work.
And the way this game started, I don't think anyone would have expected him to be out here for the 6th inning of this game.
Not only is he out here for the 6th, Nick, but very realistically, he could give you 7. He's only thrown entering the inning 72 pitches. He's behind here, 2-1 against Jack Coogan. Coogan at the plate is 1 for 2.
And this is a really good spot for him to try to get past the 6th inning too as well, Joe. That's the bottom of the order for this lineup for Molloy. So not saying that there is an easy out for this team, but if this is a spot that you want to get yourself through 6 innings, this is the spot you want to do it in.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, the bottom third, as that's chopped a mile high on the
That's gonna be a
infield,
tough play.
and Weigel has no play.
Yeah.
First has been the victim of some really tough luck in this game. He hasn't really given up much great contact either.
Yeah.
And most of the base hits for the Lions have been on the ground. Not really many squared up baseballs in this game from Molloy, but they're still in possession of a 2-run lead after that big first inning. Nothing since. They hope to change that here as Thomas Walker looks at a pitch on the inside corner for a called strike. Coogan on first now, 2 for 3 at the plate. Walker at the plate now, 0 for 2. They'll check on Coogan here.
We'll have a pinch hitter as well on deck from Molloy.
That's the starting catcher. That's Taggart.
Never mind. I keep thinking I'm a batter ahead. You know, it's tough. You know, when I'm looking at now, look at the live stats, I keep thinking I'm like a batter ahead.
Well, the internet is cooperating today.
Yeah.
So I'm able to use the computer for the live stats. Actually, I could have given you this computer. I have my own.
It is what it is. We're already through 6. We're already through 5.
Count 1 ball and 1 strike here, and again, they'll check on the runner at first. That pitch misses outside, 2-1. So in the bottom third of the Molloy lineup, the only batter who has reached is Joe Barisi. That was on a walk. So first has been able to get these outs down at the bottom of the lineup. And still he is paying close attention to Coogan over at first.
And the Dolphin bullpen I mentioned to you during our break. I see Nick Pusinelli warming up. We saw him on Thursday in that game against the Lions.
That misses high for ball 3. So now first is in danger of putting the first 2 batters on here in the 6th. And after the Dolphins picked up 2 runs in the bottom half of the 5th, you hate to give any back. Comes the 3-1. Breaking ball in for a strike.
I'd be curious, Joe, with 3-2, would Molloy maybe go on this pitch?
With how aggressive they've been on the bases, I'd be inclined to say yes. And I brought that up earlier when it was 2-2 that you'd like to avoid the 3-2 count. Runner not going. And that is pulled down the line for an extra base hit. Coogan heading for third. He's being waved home, and he will score. It's a stand-up RBI double. And with that, Thomas Walker has put Molloy in front 5-2.
A big hit right there by Walker down that left field line, just staying fair. Goes all the way to the corner and left field as well. Easy double for him. Easy run scored for Coogan, and it's now a 5-2 lead for the Lions.
Well, I'll tell you, Nick, the Lions dugout knew that was a fair ball much sooner than I did. Off the bat, I thought it might go foul, but you could hear the reaction from the Molloy dugout as soon as he hit it. They have a great angle there along the first base line, and that landed in about as bad of a spot as possible. It allowed the ball to roll all the way into the corner, and I said that Molloy, for much of this game, hadn't really squared up the baseball. I think they squared that one up pretty well.
And it's another unfortunate break for first because you mentioned it initially off the bat for you. You didn't know if that was going to be fair or foul. By a game, it's been a game of interest so far, unfortunately, for the Dolphins in this one.
Yeah, the inning opened with a dribbler that took a wicked hop on the infield. It probably chopped off the infield grass, 20 feet in the air?
Yeah.
That ball was up there. And Weigel obviously had no chance. And then a lengthy at-bat ends in a stand-up double to make it a 3-run game again. And Jeremy Taggart very quickly strikes out on 3 pitches. So first gets the first out. And it's now back to the top of the order behind Joe Barisi. Barisi, the number 9 hitter. So now I'm 1 batter ahead, Nick.
It's all right.
I think if you're first, this is an out you have to get. You then have the open base to play with at first. But with the number 9 hitter up, this is the big out. And Barisi lays down a bunt. It's a good one. Weigel has it. Throw to first, a bit offline. And not in time anyway. It's a bunt single. And Barisi matching Flashner's bunt single with one of his own, puts runners on the corners with one out.
That was a perfectly placed bunt, as you mentioned as well, Joe. And I think even if Weigel is to get that one in time, he would not have been able to make that throw in time to first base. That was a good hit by Barisi, and as you mentioned as well, now it's back to the top of the lineup for Molloy.
Well, now things get a bit more precarious for the Dolphins. You know they'd love to get a double play here. The runner is going. Unsurprising there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they're going to have a chance. I would imagine Barisi to keep going, especially after that pitch.
And there's really nothing you can do about it if you're the Dolphins. They did throw to second last time in an attempt to cut down the runner stealing.
I don't think they would do it again on this one. They probably cut it off.
We'll see how aggressive Molloy is with Walker over at third. Runner not going, and that's hit pretty well out to left. This should get the run in. Waterman makes the catch and will throw to the cutoff man, but no play at second. So you have to wonder there, maybe if they throw straight to second, they keep the runner at first, because I don't think they had a play at the plate.
Yeah, I was curious why he threw it to the cutoff man. I thought he should throw it to second to begin. Yeah,
I thought it was going to second, and that will afford an extra base. They appeal over at first. The runner did not leave early. So 2 gone in the inning, and Molloy is back in front by 4. Sean Serrano will be the batter. Serrano is already 2 for 3.
If I'm the Dolphins, I'd play it a little bit more closer towards left field, because that's where he's gone with these first 2 at-bats.
Look at that infield alignment, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
They are right with you. There is a huge hole on the right side of the
Flashner
infield.
even directed Waterman to move a little bit more towards the left field line.
Trying to think back, I think it was Serrano who squared up in the first inning to take a pitch, I think. But with how much room there is on that right side, if you're able to pull a bunt between the pitcher and the first baseman, no one's getting there. He's not going to do it with a runner in scoring position, but there is so much room on the right side of the infield right now.
Well, you never know. We saw the Dolphins that last inning with 2 outs. They had a runner on third, and they bunted as well. So you never know.
I think it's a bit different with a runner on third.
Oh, yeah.
That runner is scoring for sure if the bunt for a hit is successful.
Nice scoop behind the plate by Brito.
And we talked about it the other day, how when the Dolphins have had a runner on first in a 1-run game, or even in a scoreless game, maybe even trailing by 2, if it's early enough, they always bunt that runner over to second with nobody out. They had the runner on second with nobody out and didn't bunt, and I think the logic there is their view is they need a hit to get the run in anyway. They weren't necessarily thinking utilize another out to score a run in addition to the bunt. They're thinking get a hit and get that run in. The runner's already in scoring position. They didn't bunt it over to third. At least I believe that was the thought process. 3-1 now, the count on Serrano. And he slices that one foul. So the count is full now on the Lions left fielder. First has seen his pitch count run up into the 90s, so this might be it for him following this inning. Comes the 3-2. And that's lined into center field for a base hit. Palomini has to wait for it. He comes up throwing to the plate. And again, I don't think they had to play at home, Nick. And that extra base that they afforded the runner Barisi allows him to score on that. And then they afford Serrano an extra base by throwing home there.
Well, we know Palomini has the arm to make plays at the plate. We've seen it so far this season, but that one was just a bit offline, and it allowed the runner not only to go from second to home, but it allowed the hitter Serrano to go from a single to now getting into second base and keeping another runner in scoring position. So a tough spot for Nick Pucinelli to come into in relief with the team now trailing 7-2.
Well, Michael First will get a well-deserved round of applause as he exits the game. Obviously, the line may not reflect how he pitched in this game, and he was extended deep into this 6th inning in a game where the Dolphins needed longevity from their starter. They got it. But as we said, Nick, a victim of some tough luck in this game. He's going to be charged with 7 runs, 5 of those earned on 9 hits, and he's responsible for the runner over at second, as we will see Nick Pusinelli for the second time in this series here at home.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Aiden Larkin will be the batter for the Lions against new CSI pitcher Nick Pusinelli. Pusinelli came on in relief in Thursday's game, did not record an out. All 3 batters to face him reached, and he was relieved by Alex Martinez. Martinez then escaped trouble before the Dolphins came from behind to tie that game at 7 and ultimately win. Larkin at the plate in this game is 0 for 3. He's behind no balls and 1 strike here against Pusinelli. And that's grounded off the glove of Weigel and into left field for a hit. Now, I call that a hit tentatively. What do you think, Nick? He was there. Maybe that one goes down as an error.
I'll have to look at the replay. It was a hard hit ball towards third base.
Yeah, that's a 50-50.
Do you count that as a hit and maybe the error allowing the run to score?
I think it's one or the other. It's either a double or an error.
I'll have to look.
Well, they gave it a hit next door. What do you think? My initial instinct is because he didn't have time to get in front of the ball and had to backhand, it's probably a hit.
Yeah, I would agree it's a hit. I think you could make the case for either one. And I know so many years, so many times we've had that discussion of hit or error, but that one isn't easy for Weigel because it's a hard hit ball to third. He had to initially go on to a knee and try to make a backhand play, and because it was hit hard, it hit off of his glove and went into left field. So I don't necessarily think it's an error, but you can make the case for either one.
My instinct was hit. That's how I called it in live action. We're going to give it a hit.
Yeah.
Nicholas Dagnello, the batter here, has a 1-1 count. Molloy.
They gave it an error, Joe.
Oh, they just changed it.
Yeah.
They just changed it. I'm curious to know who thought it was a hit and who thought it was an error, because I think we're giving that a hit, Nick. We're probably going to change it.
Yeah.
It really comes down to how hard the ball was hit. If the ball was not hit that hard, that's a routine play, even if it's on the backhand, because he was there. If the ball's hit hard enough, then I think that's a hit. But it comes down to how hard the ball was hit.
Yeah, I would give that a double.
I think we're going.
I can see the I can see the argument for you maybe wanting to give it an error. I think just because of how hard the ball was hit on that one, I don't think you can give it an error.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We'll change it in between innings. Meanwhile, the count is now full on Dagnello, 3-2. Molloy lead now, 8-2.
Also, their damage in this inning, Joe, coming with 2 outs.
And there's another one down the line, just foul.
We saw him have an RBI double down the left field line. The last one of his first at bats in this game, and he almost got himself another RBI hit right there down the third base line.
He's been killing the Dolphins to the opposite field. And he finds a hole on the right side for a base hit, and that will bring home another run as the Dolphins come up a bit short on the throw to the plate. It's now 9-2 Lions following the RBI single by Nicholas Dagnello.
Yeah, Dagnello has just really been a mess in this series, hasn't he been, Joe? Another RBI hit for him right there. A 9-2 lead, and as I mentioned before, most of this damage in this inning has all come with 2 outs for the Lions.
And I think really important thing about what Dagnello has done in this series is every time he's come up with men in scoring position, he's come through. He's found a way time and time again as Patrick Sanchez checks his swing there for strike one. Just as I mentioned, all the damage he had done to the opposite field, he finds a hole on the right side. The commentator's jinx strikes again, Nick.
But I think the other thing also, Joe, is the way the Molloy is approaching this game, and they're finding the holes in the Dolphins' defense as well. You know, they've had a couple of hit balls towards the left side where it's gone between Flasher and Weigel, or it's gone down the third base line. You saw that last hit right there going between Vigliotti and Leno. They're finding the spot in the infield that has really gotten them a lot of their hits in this game.
That's to their credit. But Dolphins pitching from innings 2 through 5 really did a great job limiting opportunities, as Brito's throw was a good one, and it's off Leno's glove. And I think if he handles that cleanly, they might have had him, Nick. It was close.
It was close. I don't know if they would have had him. I think he would have had to make a quick tag on the helmet. But
it would have had to have been a tag on the helmet, for sure. But the throw into the runner was not a bad throw. Any clarity on that replay?
He would have been safe.
Would have been safe?
Yeah. It was just a second behind, I think, on the tag.
Count now 2-2 on Sanchez. And something the Dolphins did well in the game on Thursday that they haven't been able to do here in this inning is stop the bleeding. When they've been in tough situations with runners on base and Molloy has had a chance to either build upon a lead or, in the case of Thursday's game, take the lead. There's what Sanchez thought was a high called third strike. He didn't like it and still has something to say, but Dolphins weren't able to stop the bleeding early enough here in this inning. They give up 5 runs and now trail 9-2.
First pitch swing and a miss for Chris Palomini here in the home 6. A now 9-2 lead for Molloy in this game. As Ryan Hines just continues to do a quick work of this Dolphins lineup as now Palomini swings and misses again. He's quickly in a 2-strike count.
All right, I'm back from the room next door.
But did they fix the issue? Because there's still. Did we have 4 errors to begin with? I thought we had 3.
Let's just say they were overruled.
Oh, okay. So they wanted it. Okay.
They had scored it a hit as the pitch clock expires.
It's the first time we've
First
heard
time today.
Yeah.
Palomini strikes out, however, and A.J. Vigliotti will be the batter.
Okay. Always good to get some clarification, just to double check on stuff like that.
A.J. Vigliotti, the batter. Vigliotti at the plate 0 for 2 in this game, and he's quickly in a 2-strike hole.
Vigliotti retired last time on a weird fielder's choice out in right field.
A very unusual play. Hit a sky-high pop-up, shallow right center, and as Larkin was backpedaling, you could see he was having trouble with it. Palomini was then thrown out trying to advance once the ball landed, and he made it about as close as he could, but obviously a really tough play for a base runner there. Count now 2-2 on Vigliotti. And he hits one hard to short, and Sanchez couldn't play it on the hop, and he still managed to make it pretty
he
close.
Almost got him.
Man, great effort there by Sanchez, but it's an infield hit for Vigliotti.
Yeah, Sanchez, to his credit, knocked that one down and was still able to make that throw pretty much, falling backwards. And he got that one on a perfect throw and almost got the out at first base.
And Jaden Waterman fouls the first pitch he sees back. Waterman 0 for 2. Dolphins with a 1-out base runner and Vigliotti over at first, and Waterman swings and misses for strike 2.
It's not much action going up on the Molloy bullpen as well, so this is his inning to lose.
Well, Hines has been great in this game. Ran into some trouble in the 5th and limited the damage, and I think that's a key. When you're in the 4th and final game of a conference series, you need your starting pitcher to be able to escape trouble and stay in the game, because a lot of the time, and maybe not in the case of Molloy with 2 big wins yesterday, but certainly they did on Thursday, you have to burn some of those big relievers in the bullpen. As Waterman hits one high in the air to left center field, hit pretty well. That ball is carrying toward the wall, and it lands on the warning track. That one may have hit off the glove of the center fielder on the way down. Barisi might have gotten a piece, but he had to chase that ball a long way. And Waterman has yet another hit. He is now hit safely in all 4 games in this series. And the Dolphins have 2 in scoring position following the Waterman double with just 1 out.
Yeah, nice hit right there for Waterman, Joe. And initially, didn't look like that was going to just keep going into left center. And it kept going and going. And I thought maybe for a second that might have been a home run for Waterman, but he just missed it off of that warning track. And now the Dolphins will have 2nd and 3rd with 1 out in the inning.
J.J. Hunter, the batter, looks at a strike. And if the Dolphins are going to have any chance of coming from behind in this game, Nick, I think they need 2 here, at least. Still plenty of time, but Dolphins need to capitalize on their opportunities, something that was an issue for them in the first game yesterday. They left 10 on base. Count on Hunter here, 1-1. And he takes outside, 2-1.
I believe that's Jaden Patel warming up in the bullpen, and it is.
I think you jinxed them, Nick. You mentioned how the bullpen was quiet, how things were humming along for Hines, and all of a sudden, there's some stirring down there in the right field bullpen, and the Dolphins have 2 in scoring position.
Is 1 strike away, though, from getting that second out. Hunter will need to protect the plate here, try to get a run in.
And Hunter hits one in the air to right. That will get at least 1 in, and it nearly brought in more as Coogan got turned around by the ball. Vigliotti scores. Waterman moves up to third, and the Dolphins have pulled to within 6. Our score is now 9-3.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier with the wind blowing into right field earlier in the game, it's not really as bad as it looks like right now. But Coogan had to go on a long run into right, and as you mentioned, if he did not make that over-the-shoulder catch, that might have been extra bases for the Dolphins. They do get at least 1 run in on that sacrifice fly.
TJ Leno, the batter, fouls that pitch back. Sounds like we have company. I'll go get the door.
Okay. I want 1 the count now for Leno here. Two gone now in the inning. That one in there for a strike, now making the count 0-2.
Oh-2 count here on Leno. And did he hold up? Looks like he did. Looks like the Lions were asking for some help for the home plate umpire, but to no avail. Count 1-2 here on Leno. Long look in here from Hines. 1-2. Breaking ball out of the zone. 2-2.
We've seen him gone to that breaking ball a couple of times in this game, Joe, on the outside corner when having these lefty-lefty matchups.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Waterman, the runner on third. The pitch to Leno, swung on and missed, strike 3. Leno goes down swinging to end the Dolphins' threat here in the 6th inning. The Dolphins do get 1 run back. They now trail by 6. Molloy 9, Staten Island 3, heading into the 7th.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Jack Coogan will lead off for Molloy here in the road 7th. At some point, Nick, we completely lost our live stats, so I'm going to go check on that. I'll be right back.
Okay. First pitch swinging for Coogan, and it's over the glove of Weigel and into left field for an extra base hit. That will roll towards almost the fence as Warren will throw it into the cutoff. It is a stand-up double for Coogan to lead off this 7th inning. And get Molloy now their 11th hit of this game. Now I'll bring up Thomas Walker, who had himself an RBI hit his last time up. Had a chance for another RBI hit right here. The Molloy lead cut into 6 after the sacrifice fly in the previous half inning. We also had a pinch runner. Thomas Lebrecht now is at second base, pitch running for Coogan.
All right, we took care of that. Live stats are back. I was wondering why it had been so long since an update.
Also saw 9-2, so something was up.
At the plate, Thomas Walker. So I'm also taking a look. The line for the live stats is a bit different than the line on the outfield scoreboard.
What's the difference?
It looks like we have one more hit. Molloy has one less error. So I think we did not go back and change the scoring on that infield hit to short for Weigel, I think. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go check that as well now.
You said Molloy has one less error?
On the board here.
Yeah, they have none. Yeah.
They have none. On the live stats, they have one.
Oh, okay.
Let's see where it was.
I don't remember what that play was.
Well, we're going to find it pretty quick.
Again, going to second, and Lebrecht just got back in safely. As there's more action, it looks like it's going to be going on in the Dolphin bullpen in just a moment.
No way.
So what was the play?
I have to find it. They have Palomini as reaching on an error. Did Palomini reach base?
I don't remember that. What inning was that in? Well, Joe's going to go find out. In the meantime, it's still 1-2 here for Walker. Lebrecht, as we mentioned, is the pinch runner on second. And he hits that one towards second. Slow roller, tough play for Flashner, and he does make the play at first base. A very tough play for Flashner, as it looked like initially that was going to go right towards second base quickly, but it kind of slow rolled towards that second base bag. Flashner had to come running in and make the quick throw to first base in time. Now 1 away in the inning. Lebrecht did move to third base as well. So a chance now for Jeremy Taggart. As the Dolphin infield does move in, and Taggart will hit that one into center, and that will drop in for a base hit. Coming in to score is Lebrecht on an RBI single from Taggart, and it's now a 10-3 lead for the Lions in this game. Taggart going first pitch swinging on that one. Dolphins did have the infield in, but for Taggart on that play was able to get it just shallow in center field for where Palomini, which is a little bit back, playing on that play. And Molloy has now gotten back their 7-run lead as Barisi's showing bunt on that first pitch as it misses high for a ball, 1-0 the count. The 1-0. Misses high for ball 2.
All right, we sorted everything out.
So
it was Palomini who hit the ball that I thought Weigel hit. That was my error.
Okay.
But the live stats and the scoreboard had 2 different scorings for it, so I wanted to make sure we got those matched up. So it was on the Palomini ball to short. Count 2-0 here on Joe Barisi.
I believe Solomon East is warming up right now in the Dolphin bullpen as well.
Pusinelli behind 3-0 here. Run already home in the inning. And that misses high for ball 4.
And you hate to do that for the number 9 hitter in the lineup, Joe, walking in on 4 straight.
Well, they walked him earlier as well. And we saw the consequences of walks on Thursday. On the other side, Molloy issued 10 walks in that game and walked in both the tying run and the winning run in 2 different innings. Sean Welsh, the batter, takes outside. And I think the concerning thing here is that pitches like that one weren't close.
Yeah, since giving up the hit to Taggart, he's missed with his last 5 pitches.
I'm sure the Dolphins are hoping for a bounce-back effort out of Pusinelli after the game on Thursday. And there's a good breaking ball in for a strike. One and one the count on Welsh. And that's it out to center. And Palomini almost lost it in the sun.
That one just stayed in his glove.
Good job to stay with it by the CSI center fielder. 2 away in the inning.
Yeah, that sun definitely not helping on a play like that.
Pitch to Sean Serrano, up and away, ball 1. Serrano is 3 for 4. He is one of only 2 Lions with multiple hits in this game, despite the fact that Molloy has 12 hits now.
Time call as one of the warm-up pitches went into left field.
Well, that's never good.
No. Very active day, though, here at CSI. I see some soccer going on in left field. Of course, this game here today. It's always busy here on campus.
Did you see the state of Dolphin Soccer Park right now?
I caught a glimpse of it, yeah.
The entire turf has been ripped up, and they are underway in transforming the soccer complex and installing an all-new turf surface, complete with custom branding and logos.
Is there a tentative date that they have scheduled for first game?
Well, they have the schedule done in terms of first game of the season. Whether or not that's the first time I see the completed field remains to be seen. I'd be inclined to say probably. I think I'd probably come in a week before to make sure the internet works.
Right.
Maybe that would be the first time. Because a lot of the time, these projects don't exactly move quickly. This has been in the works now for 2 years. That's chopped foul. Count remains 2-2 on Serrano. But the entire soccer schedule is done and will probably release sometime after baseball and softball season ends.
So the softball team is well practicing on the way to campus today.
A lot of them are here at the game.
Yep.
I mentioned the game earlier, but in case you missed it, Nick and I back on the call Wednesday. Nick will take us through on play-by-play, and I will join him on color once I arrive from covering another game. I'll have to really hustle, but I'm going to try and get here as close to first pitch as possible, and Pusinelli has walked the bases loaded as Serrano is on for the 4th time.
And I would think no matter what happens in this at bat, this will probably be his last batter he faces today, Joe. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and Larkin will have a chance to really open this game up.
Well, Larkin is the only Molloy bat in the lineup outside of Sean Welsh, who has not recorded a hit. Welsh has reached base, but has not picked up a hit yet. Larkin is 0 for 4. He takes up and in. Comes the 1-0. Good breaking ball again for a strike. You can see that Pusinelli has a breaking ball that moves quite a bit. It's all a matter of control and not falling behind in the count. When he's fallen behind in the count, that's when hitters have really put the ball in play against him.
He falls back there now, 2-1 this account.
And those pitches that are what I call non-competitive pitches, really tough to come back from. Pitches that don't tempt the hitter to swing and are well out of the strike zone. And there's another one.
Yeah, this is a perfect hitter's count for Larkin because now Pusinelli's going to need to find a strike here to avoid walking in a run. So for Larkin, he might try to swing away on this pitch.
You think he has the green light with the team up 7 runs?
I would think so.
Half swing right back to Pusinelli, and he goes to first with it for the final out of the inning. So Pusinelli strands the bases loaded, but not before Molloy tacks on 1 run in the 7th. Molloy now back in front by 7. They lead Staten Island 10-3.
Dolphins fans, want to stay connected with everything happening at the College of Staten Island? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch all the live streams, exclusive behind-the-scenes tours, the latest episodes of CSI Today Talks, student film showcases, and so much more new programming. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now at youtube.com/College of Staten Island or scan the QR code on the screen and stay in the loop with everything CSI.
And we're back here on CSI Sportsnet for the bottom half of the 7th inning. After the Dolphins got 1 in the bottom of the 6th, the Lions get 1 in the top of the 7th, and they now lead it by 7 again. Our score 10-3. Dolphins will send 7, 8, 9 to the plate. Weigel, Brito, and Flashner against new Lions pitcher Jaden Patel.
And I had a correction, Joe. He has appeared this season. This is going to be his 6th appearance, it looks like, on the year. A 10.5 ERA. Opponents are hitting .385 against him on the season. He's pitched so far this year in 6 innings. Has allowed 10 hits, 8 runs, 7 of those earned, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts.
Well, to be clear, Nick, you didn't correct me. You corrected yourself.
Corrected myself going from the break, yeah.
Nick and I were talking about it during the break. He skipped over Patel's stats, thought it might be his first appearance, but he found them before we came back.
It wasn't popping up initially because it only showed me 5 pitchers when I went to the stats. I said, that can't be right. They have to throw more than 5.
Did you hit the conference button?
It might have been the conference button, yeah.
That's
probably what happened. That's exactly what happened. I'm looking at it now. I don't even remember touching the conference button either.
Weigel quickly behind 0-2 here against Patel, and he strikes out swinging.
Yeah, it looked like he chased that fastball on the outside corner. So Patel retires him quickly on 3 pitches for the first out.
So that will bring up Yandel Brito.
And, Joe, we might have another pitcher, position player pitching in this game that we saw on Thursday as well.
There's a dribbler to short. Sanchez throws in time. And Brito is out number 2. So what do you have in the Dolphins bullpen, Nick?
Do we save it for the suspense of if he does come in the next inning?
No.
Okay. Well, I did see Chris Palomini throwing for a bit. I don't know if that was because he was potentially maybe going to pitch. The Dolphins also have Salmonese warming up. It could have been him just throwing, going back into the outfield for the next inning, but just something to note of. Maybe we could see Palomini at one point.
If I'm not mistaken, he did pitch once last year as well. Have it right here.
We certainly know his brother pitched last year.
That we know. Michael Flashner, the batter here, takes outside. He didn't pitch once, Nick. He pitched 4 times. I didn't think it was that many.
I thought it was more than one, I will say. I thought maybe it was 2 or 3 appearances. That doesn't make sense.
There's a sing-along going on in the room next
they've
door.
been singing for multiple innings, Joe. I'm shocked.
Really?
I'm shocked this was the first.
When they're not disputing scoring decisions amongst themselves, they're singing.
They have karaoke going on inside.
And the 1-2 is sliced
I
foul.
will say, I think it's mostly towards some of the walk-up songs for the players today. So that just means good selection choices by our players.
What's your walk-up, Nick?
That's a great... I never really thought about it. I don't know.
You know mine.
Do I know yours?
You do. It's the Roman Reigns entrance theme, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. Well, it has to be not the newer one, the older one.
I kind of like the new one.
You like the new one?
I
don't mind it.
It's one of the few themes that has improved.
Yeah, that's fair. I just prefer the old. They're both pretty much the same anyway.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Flashner, a strikeout victim to end the home 7th. We head to the 8th. Molloy over Staten Island, 10-3. And we're back for the 8th inning here on CSI Sportsnet. Nick Pucinelli back to the mound for the Dolphins here in the 8th.
He's not.
It's 32?
It's 32.
I thought that looked like someone different. It's Anthony Salmonese, who was just introduced during the break as you and I were in mid-discussion.
I made a joke about it, too. I said, I like how Lou said his last name in that introduction.
Lou was extra enthusiastic, but I was situating our staff for Wednesday, so we're going to have some changes there.
Looks like we're all situated, though.
Joe Calabrese has been summoned to join me in Bridgewater for the playoff game that I have to cover. So we have rotated in Tyler Clark, public address. Sam Whalen will be joining you on the call. And I will be joining both of you once we are wrapped up.
Just got to make sure we get the good headsets for that day.
The question is now, do I join you in person or do I just join you remotely?
You could do either one.
If I join you remotely, I'll be here for first pitch. That probably makes more sense.
It probably does, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm assuming you would
what I'm going to do is leave you the necessary equipment.
I would assume you would just go straight, would you stay? You wouldn't stay at that arena.
Well,
no?
I'm much closer.
You're close, yeah.
Well, the truth is I'm actually probably closer to the venue here as that skied foul and out of play into the seats.
Almost a nice play by one of our spectators here, but it just goes over the stands.
Molloy sends 4, 5, and 6 to the plate here in the 8th. Dagnello, Sanchez, and Lebrecht due up. Lebrecht came on as a pinch runner when I left the room in the previous inning. That's lined to straightaway left, and Waterman makes the catch. Dagnello retired for just the second time in this game.
And once again, though, Joe, he goes the opposite way when he hit that one.
That will bring up Patrick Sanchez.
They're still singing. I'm telling you, Joe, they've been singing for innings now.
They're singing one of our dance team's performance tracks, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there's also someone's warm-up or walk-up song. I know
Must be a freshman.
I know it's one. I know it's someone's. I just forgot who it is.
It must be a freshman. I don't think anyone shows a song titled "Promiscuous Girl." Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's promiscuous.
Okay. Well, I don't listen to that. So that's hit deep to right, and it lands just shy of the warning track. Sanchez racing for second, and he is in standing with a stand-up double.
That was another one towards the opposite way, this time for Sanchez. And tough play for Keogh. Really had no chance to make it with the way that ball was hit. Sanchez is on with a one-out double.
So is that chest pound? I think my Phillies do that when they reach. He was doing what, to me, I would call it the King Kong, the alternating fist to chest.
Hey, opening day is this Thursday. It's coming up.
Can't come soon enough.
I don't know about that.
Well, you're a Yankees
fan. We're just not going to talk about the season.
I think I hopped in on a ticket plan the wrong year.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think our crew is headed to a game on the 14th.
Yeah, it does appear to be that way.
That game is included in my plan.
Nice.
Those tickets are no good to me.
Yeah, definitely.
That's taken low.
Definitely will be an interesting season, to say the least.
So Thomas Lebrecht gets his first at-bat after pinch running earlier. He's ahead 2-0 here. And that breaking ball's in for a strike.
So I had to think about what my walk-up song was after you asked me. I think I narrowed it down because I have like a wide range of music I listen to. I would say it kind of like ties into what you picked. It's a wrestling song, but it's a song that I think a lot of people also would know. Maybe.
Okay.
Slow Chemical by Finger 11.
Ah, so Kane's walk-up.
Yes.
Or entrance music.
Yes. Love that song.
I did listen to that one on repeat quite a bit.
That was a great. I think
many years ago.
That's a very underrated band, and I think that song alone, I just think fits perfectly. I don't know.
Right. So now the fun part, as Thomas Walker comes to the plate. What are the walk-ups for the rest of the crew?
Do you ask them, or are we trying to guess?
Oh no, we pick.
We're just gonna guess. Okay.
We pick for them.
That's gonna be tough. Well, I know Joe Calabrese's song.
Okay.
It's the song you made for him. Front row Joe.
Front row Joe. Let's be very clear. I did not make that.
Okay.
Nick did.
Okay. Sorry. I knew someone made it up, obviously, for him.
If only we could play it. If only we could play it.
That'd be a great walk-up.
Now, we have the equipment to play it, but it would be rather unprofessional.
I think I'll make my point in a
As
second.
that's it out to right, and Kehoe comes in to make the catch to retire the side.
I was going to say, last year I remember we talked about maybe doing walk-ups for this faculty and staff game for softball that we usually do. We might have to think about that for this year. If we could get people, to think about what song they would want to come up to, we could potentially do that.
We'll talk about it more after this break. We're through 7.5 from the CSI Baseball Complex. The Lions lead the Dolphins 10-3.
Balance. It isn't just essential in your sport. It's essential in life, especially college life. It's everything you need to thrive in school, in sport, and everything in between. The key is just finding a place where you can pursue it all. Because the real beauty lies in the balance. If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Home eighth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. The Dolphins trail 10-3. Jaden Patel back to the mound for Molloy. This time I checked before I spoke as Kehoe bounces out to first for a quick first out.
He got a quick one-pitch, one out. And he had a nice seventh inning as well, Joe, in relief. So nice start to this game for him.
That will bring up Chris Palomini.
I'm still very curious. We talked about it last break, what everyone's walk-up song would be. I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, this is a great opportunity to troll the crew. I actually do have another one that I could come up to, another walk-up.
For who?
For myself.
Oh, for yourself.
I have one more. There's a rap song called Batman. I play it all the time as I take the elevator up to the top floor of my building. We always joke, I used to live in the basement at home on Staten Island. That was the cave. Now I live in the manor. 1-1 the count on Palomini. And that's it on the ground. It takes an awkward hop on the infield grass, but Larkin stays with it and throws out Palomini for out number 2.
Now batting the first baseman, number 22, A.J. Vigliotti.
That will bring up A.J. Vigliotti. Considering that Nick Durst was singing Fergalicious on the air, I think by default that's his walk-up.
He did sing Ferg? When was that?
He was reciting lyrics as part of a call, and I had no idea what he was doing. And then I found out after he posted his reel that he was quoting Fergalicious.
I had no idea. I don't remember that at all.
It happened.
I'm sure it did.
I think he quoted a Taylor Swift song more than once.
Well, I remember him and I, that one year when Beyonce did the Super Bowl halftime show, that we kept bringing up a couple song titles. I do remember that one.
Yeah, we're going to have to put an end to those.
Put an end.
We're going to have to put an end to referencing song lyrics mid-call. Though, to be fair, most of them would go over my head anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Vigliotti ahead 2-0 here. Takes a strike.
Well, I think the only thing that we did was that we did it during a break. Like it was a media timeout or something. So I think we had time to talk about it. But I don't remember how it got brought up. I just remember it was obviously during Super Bowl week.
And Vigliotti hits one well deep to right center field. That's headed toward the wall, and it lands on the warning track. Vigliotti heads for second, and he's in standing with a 2-out double.
Yeah, that one took a one bounce off that fence in right field. A nice hit by Figliotti. We know, Joe, that he is a capable hitter pulling it the opposite way, and he did it right there. And that will extend the inning another at bat for CSI and bring up Jaden Waterman.
Waterman 1 for 3 with that last hit. Vigliotti is now 2 for 4. Patel checks on Vigliotti quickly, and Waterman bounces that one foul.
There he is again, Joe Palomini up in the pen.
And I think, Nick,
probably for just the outfield, but you never know.
The question I asked you about the walk-ups for the crew, I think the more appropriate question is, what would their walk-up be if they were a freshman and we were trolling them? What song would be used? So I think we'll have to think about that for the next broadcast, and if we have another lopsided score, we'll have to bring those out.
We might have to write them down at the end of the day, and then just bring it towards our listeners next broadcast.
So for those who aren't familiar with the practice, many teams, not all, but many teams assign unusual walk-up songs to their freshmen.
Yep.
Once upon a time, the baseball team did that, as that's grounded down the line.
That was a fair
long
ball.
Throw way upstairs.
And it went out of play.
Well, there's going to be an error on the play, but hold on. I think they're calling it a foul ball.
No, they called it. It's a fair ball. It's an error.
Oh, okay. They're putting the runner on second base.
Yeah.
So Vigliotti will score.
That was clear as day, a fair ball.
Well, I know it was a fair ball. I thought they were saying that the ball hit Waterman in the box.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't look like it.
No, it did not look at it one bit.
What they were pointing to was to put Waterman on second base.
Yes.
So the Dolphins pick up their 6th hit of the game there. And then the error comes on the throwaway.
They gave that a hit, though?
It was going to be a hit and then an error on the throw.
Are you sure that was gonna be a hit? I mean, I don't want to be that person to make that call.
It's going to be a hit, Nick, with an error on the
Okay.
throw. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You have the replay, Nick?
I do.
Let me see it.
I'll show up to the next pitch.
I think a perfect throw had him. A perfect throw.
Yeah, I guess you can make the case. Yeah,
Nick, if
it was.
Let's put it this way.
He had to go far back on the play. I get it.
That's grounded to short, and they'll throw to first to retire J.J. Hunter. But to make the point before break, and, you know, I have my own way of doing things. I've been doing things my own way for as long as I've been doing this. I am letter of the law, by the book, scoring. And I will watch a replay 10 times if necessary.
Yeah.
And if I still can't decide, I go with my first instinct. But generally speaking, I do not err on the side of home team score, away team score, because I have scored games for a CSI opponent on the road as well, and I've scored neutral games. And even though I don't typically favor the home team as a scorer, if I'm scoring at their facility, for that particular play, I'm probably giving it a hit. It's close, but I think it's close enough where you give it a hit. Generally speaking, I think there's only one scoring decision that we have from this game that I would have changed the other way.
Yeah.
And you know which one it was. So we'll leave it at that. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back for the 9th inning.
In a very historical school, and we really have to recognize, as students on this campus, the amount of sacrifice that has been bared for us to be able to receive education.
CUNY has really inspired me to think creatively and think differently about how it is we listen to one another. And so long term, my goal is to continue that pattern.
But I think I'd encourage students to attend CUNY because the faculty here is truly amazing.
Ninth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, and the Dolphins will send Chris Palomini to the mound. And you said it, Nick. You saw him throwing in the bullpen throughout the game, and Palomini will get a chance to pitch here in the ninth with the Dolphins trailing 10-3.
Christopher Riley will take his spot out in center field as well, but for the second time this week, Joe, we see a position player pitching. It did work wonders on Thursday with Jack Keel. We'll see if Palomini could do it here today in the ninth inning.
Pinch hitter will get things started for Molloy. Matthew Gonchar will come to the plate. Looking in the on-deck circle, Joe Barisi set to bat for himself. We mentioned it before. Palomini appeared in 4 games last year as a pitcher. First pitch of 2025 on its way, and that hit the bat.
Looking also towards the Molloy bullpen, Joe. There is double action up in their pen. Trying to see what numbers that's out there right now.
Molloy has gotten some great pitching the last 3 games against the Dolphins. A shutout in Game 1 yesterday, 1 run allowed in 7 innings during Game 2. And they've allowed 3, or make it 4 thus far, through the first 8.
So it's
in Game 4.
So it's Matt Reeder and Zeev Gar that are warming up in the bullpen right now.
Comes the 2-1, and that's hit right back up the middle for a base hit. So Gonchar comes in as a pinch hitter and immediately drives one right back up the middle.
Nice piece of hitting from Gonchar right there. Goes up the middle, as you mentioned. Gets a leadoff single to hit the ninth inning. It's the 14th hit now of this game for the Lions.
That will bring up Joe Barisi. He's 1 for 2. That's hit in the air. Foul ball.
They just won't stop singing in there, Joe. They're just going.
They are having a grand old time in the room next door.
My goodness.
And they are laughing at my amusement over that fact.
I heard this back in the 5th inning. It's just been going on since.
One ball and 1 strike to count. It's 2-1 now.
Quickly now 3-1 here for Barisi after hitting back to the top of the lineup. There is action in the Dolphin bullpen. I'm trying to see what number that is as well, as Barisi does work the walk.
2 on now for Molloy. Nobody out here in the ninth. And they'll send it back to the top of the lineup.
That might be Vendrell up in the bullpen, it looks like. I see a 5. I think that is him.
So the Dolphins, if Palomini runs into some big trouble, may look to go to the bullpen again here in the ninth inning.
Time was called as Brito will talk to Palomini before this next pitch. I would have to check, Joe. I'm trying to think of how many appearances Vendrell's made this season.
I can tell you.
At least in the games that I've covered, I don't remember him pitching.
He has not pitched yet this year.
I was going to say, that's probably his first appearance if he does come in. He is a freshman, one of the newcomers on this team. Nice
Brito
block.
did a good job to keep that in front of him. One and one the count. Welsh takes out of the zone, 2-1. It's now 3-1. And Palomini in danger of loading the bases here with nobody out. That fastball finds the zone for a strike. Count full, 3-2. That's hit sharply through the left side for a base hit. Gonchar in to score. And Barisi slides into third safely. It's an RBI single for Sean Welsh. And Molloy now leads 11-4.
15 hits now in the game for the Lions, and Welsh gets that single right there to extend this hitting barrage by this Lions team now at an 11-4 lead here in the ninth. It's still nobody out.
Sean Serrano will be the batter. Serrano 3 for 4 and has drawn a walk. He's been on base 4 times, has driven in a run. That's hit in the air out to deep left center field. Riley couldn't find it, and that's down for an extra base hit. Wouldn't have been an easy play, but I think Riley could have gotten there. And once again, the sun wreaking havoc in the outfield here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
Yeah, that one, as I mentioned, was tough. We saw Palomini earlier in this game almost lose a ball because of the sun. And that one, you could clearly tell Riley had trouble trying to track that one down with the sun playing a factor, and it's now a sizable lead for the Lions as the Dolphins will make a pitching change.
So Palomini fails to record an out, and that will be all for the new Dolphins pitcher. CSI going to the bullpen, and Nick, you mentioned it before. You thought it was Vendrell warming up, and it looks like it is Aurelius Vendrell who will come in and pitch. So as he gets warm, we'll step aside and take a quick break. Dolphins now trail 12-4. Molloy threatening for more here in the ninth.
In a very historical school, and we really have to recognize as students on this campus the amount of sacrifice that has been bared for us to be able to receive education.
CUNY has really inspired me to think creatively and think differently about how it is we listen to one another. And so long term, my goal is to continue that pattern.
But I think I'd encourage students to attend CUNY because the faculty here is truly amazing.
Imagine earning a world-class education on a beautiful and accessible campus in the world's most exciting city. Not only does CSI offer a magnificent campus atmosphere, the College of Staten Island excels in dynamic student life, outstanding academics, new high-end apartment-style living, and a dedicated, award-winning faculty.
Pinch hitter to the plate for Molloy here.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen? Like the actor?
Mulqueen.
Oh, Mulqueen.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Not Lightning McQueen. There's an actor named that?
A legendary actor. I forget what show he comes up on constantly, but
Yeah, it's showing my age. I don't even know.
I didn't know who he was until I
Yeah.
saw him mentioned many times on the show, as that gets through into the outfield, and that will cost the Dolphins an extra run. CSI was conceding a run on that ground ball, but Leno had it go through his legs.
I'll bring up Dagnello now.
We spoke about it during the pregame, Nick, that the Dolphins defensively had been much cleaner in this doubleheader, or I should say in the series. Of course, including yesterday's doubleheader, but overall, and
oh man, Joe,
that's hit a mile high down the right field line, fairly deep, foul ground and caught. Nicely done there by Kehoe in right field, contending with the bullpen mound.
Yeah, thankfully, no one was warming up at that point.
Well, they would have vacated.
Yeah, but how about that rundown by Kehoe out in right field? And as you mentioned, had to contend with the fence as well, and just made the catch.
But as I was saying, Nick, we mentioned how important it would be for the Dolphins to continue to stay clean in the field against this Lions team, and it just hasn't happened today. There have been quite a few miscues defensively, and in areas such as throwing home when they could have thrown to second and prevented the runner from advancing an extra base, the little things, as that may go down as a passed ball there. Looked like it just got through Brito.
Yeah.
Vendrell saying that's on me, so perhaps there was a bit of a miscommunication there with the pitch or the sign. Either way, the runner moves up to third. Another pinch hitter here as well. Brian Sanchez at the plate. That's it out to left. Waterman coming in, makes the catch, and that will bring home another run. So, Nick, I remembered what show kept referencing Steve McQueen. History Channel, Pawn Stars.
Oh, okay.
I think if I recall, it was Rick Harrison who was a huge fan. I used to love that show, watch it all the time.
I never really watched it.
I think what took me out of it was how apparently staged so much of it was, and I just couldn't buy in anymore. Once I lose that ability to buy in, you lost me. Second at-bat of the game here for Thomas Lebrecht. He's 0 for 1 after coming on as a pinch runner. There's a swing and a miss. Vendrell ahead of him 0-2.
Still occasionally watch Gordon Ramsay and stuff like that. It's like pretty much like the only show I can watch where like I don't feel, the show's being like rigged in a capacity.
Let's be honest. Are we really watching Hell's Kitchen for the cooking?
No, for Gordon. It's only for Gordon.
That's a slow grounder to the left side.
That's a very late call.
And Lebrecht is safe. Well, I think he was obviously safe, so
yeah.
the call was a bit delayed.
Very, very delayed.
You could hear it from the room next door. Don't call him out.
I would have made a grave case for Molloy on that one, because if he called them out on that one, that would have been pretty bad.
So Thomas Walker will get his 6th at-bat of the game here. He's 1 for 5. The Lions have now sent 9 to the plate in the inning. And on deck is Matthew Gonchar, who got the pinch hitting assignment to open the inning. He might get a second at bat.
Ventrell trying to make sure that this is not the case. But 17 hits in this game, as well as the 5 errors, has given a lot of at-bats in this one from Molloy.
Count 1-1 here on Walker, and he's hit by the pitch. So Gonchar will indeed get a second at bat in the inning. Gonchar singled and scored earlier in the inning. There's a swing and a foul ball straight down into the dirt. Upcoming schedule for the week. As I mentioned earlier, Nick and I on the call Wednesday as baseball takes on Bloomfield. That a non-conference single game gets underway at 3:30. And this weekend, or I should say more appropriately next weekend, baseball will face Queens College in a 4-game conference set. That begins on the road at Queens on Friday as Gonchar hits one up into the sun. Riley contending with sunlight, can't make the catch. It lands in front of him. And that is the second sun-assisted base hit of the inning for Molloy.
Something you don't hear very often, sun-assisted. But that is indeed the case. And it's now 18 hits in the game for the Lions and now 14-4 lead.
Well, obviously, the final box score, barring a big ninth inning, is going to be ugly for the Dolphins, but I don't think this line is necessarily reflective of the kind of game this was.
A lot of bad bounces that went the Dolphins' way.
Yeah. Molloy definitely got the better of CSI today, as they have each of the last 2 games coming in, but I don't think this game was a double-digit deficit bad loss for the Dolphins. I think where CSI really needs to clean things up is in the field.
Yeah.
They made a lot of mistakes defensively in this game that cost them several runs. We're going to have to go back after this game is over, inning by inning, and make sure that the earned unearned run tally is correct, because there were a lot of plays in this game that the Dolphins could have made and did not, and obviously those really hurt you against a team like the Lions, where they will capitalize if you make those mistakes and give them those extra opportunities. This could get the Dolphins out of it. Foul territory, high in the air. Brito makes the catch, and the side is retired. So Aurelius Vendrell comes in and gets CSI through the ninth. However, Molloy once again on the board, this time for 4 more runs. They lead it 14-4.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
All right, so we were looking it over during our last commercial break. Right now the score is 15-4. Anthony Terra is the leadoff hitter for the Dolphins here in the ninth as they're down to their final 3 outs in this one. They're currently trying to fix the scoreboard as we speak, and it looks like they have just fixed it. There was a run not tallied off of, I believe, an error that happened in the innings. So that was the misleading run that we did not see.
All right.
So it's an 11-run deficit for the Dolphins here in this ninth.
I went in there and we sorted it out. Thank you for your assist, Nick. As once again, the sun playing a role on that pop-up into center field, but pinch hitter Anthony Cetera is retired for the first out here in the home ninth. What happened is on the error committed by Leno at second base, 2 runs came in to score,
Yes.
and on the scoreboard they only put up 1.
Yes.
So the scoreboard, which is what feeds our live stream, was 1 run off. The live stats immediately to my left were correct.
And I thought something was up because during that inning, I thought the score was weird, but I wanted to double check.
And you kept your mouth shut, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to sound foolish and bring it up, and then
I
I'm
sounded
wrong.
foolish with the wrong score.
Someone was going to sound foolish regardless.
Better you than me.
So I have to take the fall.
Yes. Your job is to make my job easier.
Well, I wasn't certain if that was the case.
John Harrington is the pinch hitter here for the Dolphins. He's behind 1 and 2.
And we also forgot to mention Jason Schwartz is the new pitcher for the Lions here in the ninth.
And the 1-2 is in the dirt. So I had started to mention it before the last inning ended. Bloomfield here on Wednesday at 3:30. The Dolphins then hit the road on Friday to open their series against Queens as Harrington lines out the second. That series with the Knights returns to the baseball complex on Saturday for a doubleheader beginning at noon. My arrival may be right at first pitch or a bit late on Saturday. I'm going to try and make it, but we're setting everything up ahead of time. We'll have everything ready for you after the game on Tuesday.
Oh, you're saying that for Wednesday?
This is for Saturday as well.
Oh, for Saturday as well.
Saturday
Okay.
as well, yeah. The springtime, things get very busy in terms of client games and juggling everything. We try and offload as many of those client games as possible to other members of the team. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Pinch hitter for the Dolphins here, Mike Cunningham. That's hit in the air, foul. But I mapped out the schedule, and before I knew that Wednesday was going to be a playoff game for a client in New Jersey, the only dates that I could possibly miss were a late arrival on the 29th. I'll definitely be here, even if late, as that's chopped on the infield. This may do it. And Cunningham is retired to end the ball game. So Molloy comes into the CSI baseball complex and wins their 3rd straight against the Dolphins. After dropping game 1 in walk-off fashion on Thursday, they take 2 at home, and the Lions take 1 more from the Dolphins here on Staten Island. Our final score, Molloy 15, Staten Island 4.
And it was just a couple of things, Joe, that didn't really go CSI's way. We mentioned it. There was a couple of bad bounces in the field that really played CSI, but when you give up 18 hits and also give them 5 errors, that's not going to help you as well. So that definitely did not help the Dolphins in this game. But you also have to look at the other side. Ryan Hines for Molloy pitched a phenomenal game in this one. Really did a good job of maintaining those Dolphins at bats. Throughout the first 4 innings, he went up 9 down to start this game as well. And CSI really just had a hard time trying to hit against him in this game. The scoreboard now is, again, not right, but we'll take that score up before we wrap this one up. But yeah, Molloy did a great job in this one for a multitude of things, and the Dolphins now go into this game against Bloomfield on Wednesday, trying to bounce back, but we'll see what they do.
Well, the Dolphins will have that one game on Wednesday, as you mentioned, ahead of a return to conference play over the weekend. However, they end their series with Molloy in disappointing fashion. And I said it, Nick, they lose this game by 11, but this effort was not as poor as the final score would indicate. The Dolphins only trailed by 2 at the midway point of this game, and then the Lions really broke it open with a 2-out rally in the inning that followed. And for CSI, they never really recovered from that. The miscues in the field really hurt. The Dolphins were held hitless for much of the early portion in this game, and obviously they look for a bounce back on Wednesday against Bloomfield before taking on Queens College over the weekend. But as for us here on Sportsnet, you will hear from us again on Wednesday. Nick Bavona on play-by-play for that game, to be joined by Sam Whalen, who made his debut earlier this season when I was in Florida. My presence will be dependent on how quickly I can get here, Nick. So what we will do, if I think I can make it close enough to first pitch where it makes sense to make the trip, I will do that. If I can't make it fast enough, I'll join you for first pitch remotely. So
sounds good.
We will see what Wednesday brings, but until then, this again has been Joe Foreman alongside Nick Bavona. Be sure to join us on Wednesday for non-conference action between the Dolphins and the Bears, and then again this weekend as the Dolphins host the Knights on Saturday.